It's time for Twig This Week in Google. Paris Martineau's here from The Information. Jeff Jarvis for the University of New York. Well, they did it. They banned TikTok. The president signed it. What happens next? What can the courts do? Is it all over for TikTok? FTC banned non-compete agreements. But Mike Masnick says this could be the end of the line for independent agencies and the man who killed Google search. We find the evil genius behind all of Google's problems. It's all coming up next on Twig.
Podcasts you love.
From people you trust.
This is TWiT.
This is Twig. This Week in Google, episode 765. Recorded Wednesday, April 24th, 2024. Inflatable nuts. It's time for Twig This Week in Giggles. The show where we talk about the latest from Google and the Googleverse and the Twitterverse, and we giggle a lot. And it's because Jeff and I are just giddy and silly. Jeff Jarvis is here. He is. Is it still?
I'm emeritus. I'll always be. They can't get rid of me.
Forever. The Leonard Tao Professor Emeritus for Journalistic Innovation. Where does the emeritus get stuck in there? At the end?
At the end. Leonard Tao Professor for Journalism Innovation, Emeritus.
Emeritus. At the Craig Newmark Graduate School of Journalism at the City University.
Now, for variety, Benito, can you cut a little bit out of the new Craig song so we could go back and forth?
Okay, sure.
Sometimes use that.
I have
Just
to
like
make
a quick 7 seconds.
So I emailed you both today. Craig, I asked Craig whether he would like to come back on, and he said yes.
Good.
So we need to get Craig back.
Well,
Craig
we'll definitely
followed me on
play it
Twitter.
when he comes on. That's for sure.
Yes.
I have to figure out if I recorded or
Now I feel like we need a Craig cowboy song and pigeons too. I don't know.
Okay.
I'm in the mood.
Oh, what if the pigeons were wearing little tiny cowboy hats?
Oh yes.
a country song about Craig Newmark and his pigeons. Oh, remember the guy who was gluing cowboy hats on pigeons?
I think Udio is better. I think that I've become a Udio fan.
Really?
Really?
You can
Because Suno's are the
type
ones we
more things in the song description.
What else
and
should I
like
say?
To go along.
He didn't kill the newspaper.
No, he did not.
Biz.
Also, I'm
started
very
it,
smart now.
He
by the way.
did mortally wound it.
Hey.
No, I
My
won't
friend
say
you're
that.
talking about.
That was Rupert Murdoch.
This is going to be the most confused song
It's
ever.
gonna be. So you like Udio? Why do you like Udio better?
I mean, I've used it exactly once and it was fine.
okay.
I just liked because it had
Longer prompts.
It allows longer prompts.
Yeah.
And I think that that's quite useful. And I like that there's a different factor for, you could have a longer prompt and then you could select your musical influence type separately. So you don't have to have them combined in one prompt.
We're talking about
and
two.
I like that you can kind of toggle on and off whether or not you want them to rephrase your prompts on the back end. We're talking about two competing AI generative music platforms, Udio and Suno.
Suno.com and Udio. It's audio without the A. I figured out. Somebody told me.
Or studio without the
.com. Here's Craig's pigeon in cowboy hats.
In a little town down south where the newspapers used to roam, there was a man named Craig. And he had
I love when the
a heart of
newspapers roam.
gold. He saw the world was changing. The internet's mighty whole, but he didn't kill the newspaper biz. Oh no, he never sold. He had a pigeon on his shoulder with a little cowboy hat. They strolled down Main Street, causing whispers as they pass. People called him crazy, but Craig, he didn't care. He had a vision and a dream. Spread news everywhere. Rupert Murdoch came around with his empire and his might.
Oh my God.
The new world with his power in the fight. But Craig and his pigeon, they had the people on their side. They believed in free and open with nothing left to hide.
Here's the hook.
It just blows me away. I know it's not great music.
Amazing. Who cares? It's fun.
It's quite fun and it's quite fast.
And it does it so fast. And I'm sure, I think there's some thought that maybe there's actual real people's music in here, like they're actually, but I don't know. Nobody's yet shown that.
Well, it doesn't have to be. Music is
It's mathematical.
Made by 12 notes.
It's mathematical. It's formulaic.
There's only 12 notes.
Yeah.
There's only 3 chords. Yeah, that's
That was great. That's fun.
That was really good.
Thank you, Suno. All right.
And thank you, Paris, for pulling out the cowboy hat at just the right moment. Very
Yeah.
good.
Where'd you
You're
get that
welcome,
little cowboy hat?
You put
It's
that on your
on
cat?
my gallery wall behind my laptop. It's a tiny cat-sized cowboy hat, which I pair with my, hold on,
Will Gizmo actually
tiny
wear it?
cat-sized bolo tie.
Oh, that's so cute. but
She will wear the bolo tie. She will shake off the hat as quickly as possible. But I've gotten quite a few good photos out of both of them. So
wasn't there a guy going around gluing red cowboy hats on the pigeons in New York a few years ago?
Yeah,
What?
there was something like
Wasn't it
that.
Vegas?
Yes.
Was it
I thought it
Vegas?
was Vegas.
Oh, maybe it was Vegas.
I feel like the New York pigeons are too wily for you to glue a hat on them.
Yeah.
You have to sneak up
FU.
on them. Audubon.org. These pigeons wearing cowboy hats, they're no laughing matter. Because it's actually bad for the pigens. I'm sure
It's horrible
Craig.
for them.
I mean,
It was Las Vegas.
definitely
Yeah, it was
not
during the
good.
rodeo.
They were
It was during the
glued.
rodeo. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, they were glued. Someone is putting cowboy hats on pigeons in Las Vegas. No one knows why.
It's such
Well, we know
a dire
why.
New York Times combination
Yes.
headline deck.
Yes.
Yes. The Las Vegas police said it does not appear to be a police matter at this time.
Pigeons can't complain.
I think they caught the guy, actually, as I remember.
I think so too.
Yeah.
Did they catch him red hat handed? I'm sorry, I'll leave. I'm leaving the
We
scene.
need a soundboard for the show. So
We do need a soundboard
rim
for the
shot.
show, actually.
New York Times-
If I had the power to make a toilet flush noise happen at any given point,
Oh, we could arrange
this
this.
show would be over.
Get you one of these little stream decks and you'll be set.
Yeah.
The New York Times dubbed him the mystery bird milliner.
Oh, no.
Somebody drank out on that for a week.
Yeah.
Oh my God, no, people were, Scooter X just posted in the chat that a group calling itself Putin, which stands for Pigeons United to Interfere Now, claimed responsibility for gluing Make America Great Again hats to pigeons.
Oh, no.
Leave the birds alone, people.
Poor pigeons.
Leave the birds
Craig's
alone.
never going to join us. This is from the
No.
2020 election. Oh, that's terrible.
Oh no. That's rough.
Stop laughing.
People don't like pigeons, do they? And that's why it's really.
I think
Craig
pigeons
does.
are great.
I like pigeons.
Do you?
I like pigeons.
Okay.
They're
Yeah.
cute. They're just going about their business.
They're not.
Yeah, they're amazing.
Yeah, all right. We like our pigeons, but I thought city dwellers thought of them as rats with wings or something like that.
No, and I don't
No.
hate rats either. I mean, listen,
Really?
do I want them on me? No.
No.
But they're part of
Yeah.
the
Now, out here in the
greater
burbs, we
cityscape.
consider deer to be tall rats because they eat our shrubs.
Yeah.
The
So-
city people come out and say, "Oh, look, a deer." We say,
Did you know that there's a serious problem with deer swimming from New Jersey to Staten Island? Have I brought this up on the show before?
"No, you have
It's
not."
like a serious
That's such
problem.
a Paris story.
First of all, I didn't know that deer could
What?
swim.
Staten Island got a problem with our deer? What's the problem with that?
They apparently the deer are eating everything. They swim over in packs onto the shores of Staten
Gangs of
Island and
deer.
cause havoc. Apparently there was this could all be hearsay told from my local. Staten Island has become very cool among certain groups within Brooklyn, and my local Staten Island friend is obsessed with the deer aspect and told me that apparently there are groups of vigilantes driving around Staten
Well, you know
Island
why?
with trucks and sterilizing the deer.
Yeah, they're not paying the toll.
It's true.
Yeah.
They do it to avoid the
notice,
toll.
by the way, that they're very smart. They avoid the bridges.
Yes.
Yeah, that's
You don't
want to
go on the Goethals Bridge. You don't want to do that.
No,
is-
you don't.
That is Just another New York. What would we do without New York, right? I mean, and New Jersey.
No.
I mean, it takes two.
It does.
A story from the New York Times 4 years ago. The corner of New York City that's overrun by deer, turkeys, and feral cats.
Boy.
The city is pushing a vasectomy program.
Oh, no. What Lisa always... Oh, this looks sad. This poor deer, he's looking at us and
Well,
saying...
now that I'm here in Staten Island, why do they
Yeah,
tell
now
me
what
this
do
is
I
the place
do?
to come to?
I thought... what's he got on it? He's tagged. Oh, look at that. What a beautiful...
There'd be more to eat over
Beautiful
here.
7
It's just
point.
rocks.
They're beautiful, but they're stupid. God, they're stupid.
Yeah.
I didn't
Anyway.
realize they could swim. I can't believe they're
didn't
so buoyant.
Anyway, we're laughing
Well,
because
this is this
if we
week
weren't
in Google.
laughing, we would be crying because today the president signed a bill banning TikTok.
Oh.
It's official. So,
Ridiculous.
really interesting story in the New York Times about how this was accomplished because, of course, TikTok has lobbyists and certainly has its supporters in Congress. So a cabal, a small group of anti-TikTok Congress members secretly planned this. They had actually a name for the whole thing. It was a really interesting strategy to get this through. Ro Khanna, who was a California Democrat opposing the bill, shared his opposition through videos on TikTok before and after the vote. He says, I voted no today on the bill to ban TikTok. It's hard to because the bill itself was attached to a spending bill to support Ukraine and Israel, which many members of Congress, of course, wanted to do, was felt to be fairly urgent, particularly for Ukraine. It passed through the Senate for the same reason. They didn't separate it out. And the president signed it, or he said he will today. I think he probably already has by now.
I think he already has.
Yeah, he already has.
He was in favor of it.
Yeah.
Yeah, he had said in advance that if it gets to my desk, I will sign it.
I feel like this is a subsidy for Meta.
Oh, yeah.
I mean, it's a subsidy for Meta. It's a subsidy for Snap. It's a
YouTube.
It's a subsidy for, YouTube Shorts. But I mean, I think that's all assuming that this somehow comes to pass, which that's a big if. There's already, if there hasn't already been a legal challenge, there probably will be within a couple of hours.
The plan was called Thunder.
Kathy is surely writing her
Kathy
brief
Gellis,
right now.
you're not
Kathy
happy. It's called Thunder Run. The lawmakers call it their secretive push. I found the New York Times story to pass the TikTok bill. They knew they couldn't get it passed as a bill. Remember, Chuck Schumer stopped it in the Senate. So it was very clever to attach it to the spending bill to bulletproof the bill from expected legal challenges and persuade uncertain lawmakers. The group worked with the Justice Department and the White House. At the last stage, a race to the president's desk that led some aides to nickname the bill Thunder Run played out in 7 weeks from when it was publicly introduced, which is remarkably fast for Washington and unprecedentedly fast for this Congress, which has only passed, last time I looked, 27 bills. Steve Scalise of Louisiana, our favorite Republican, the majority leader. You don't get many opportunities like this on a major issue. This is not a major issue.
Well, on the House, I'm surprised that Johnson put it through since Trump is now pro-TikTok.
Well, that's because Jeff Yass, who is a major, in fact, the number one donor to...
investor.
No, he's the... No. Let me finish the sentence. He's the number one donor in this election cycle.
Wow.
Whoa.
$46 million. But he is, and I know what you were thinking, he is also has 15% of ByteDance, $40 billion. And according to the Wall Street Journal, or maybe I think it was the Financial Times, that's a significant portion of his personal, he will lose a lot of money. His personal fortune is sunk into ByteDance. So Jeff Yass went to President Trump and said, hey, don't pass this. And Trump came out against it. This is really bad for who? This is bad for the Democrats. This is shooting yourself in the foot.
It is. It is the youth. The youth are going to, if they weren't mad enough already at Biden,
This is Roe v. Wade for people under 25. I'm sad to say, because Roe v. Wade's much more important.
Roe v. Wade is also Roe v. Wade for people under 25.
It's much more important. But I think a lot of young people are furious at Congress that they would. 170 million Americans. TikTok spokesperson said the bill was crafted in secret, rushed through the House, ultimately passed as part of a larger must-pass bill, exactly because it is a ban that Americans will find objectionable. They had to bury it. He added that it was sadly ironic that a Congress would pass a law trampling 170 million Americans' right to free expression as a part of a package they say is aimed at advancing freedom around.
Why do they hate it so much? That bunch. Why go to this?
Well, I have a couple of theories. One is that it hurts the Democrats, but two is it's Chinese, and I think they're xenophobic. Three, it satisfies a part of the electorate that says you got to hit big tech. The problem is it really is a subsidy for American big tech.
Oh, yeah. That's what happens again and again and again with regulation. They want to take power away from big tech, and they end up giving more power to big tech.
Here's the Washington Post. Trump got one thing right. Boy, you never thought you saw that in a headline in the Washington Post. Banning TikTok would help Meta and Google. Congress's first tech crackdown in years is a gift to big tech. This is Willa Ramus, who has been covering tech for a long time, formerly with the New York Times. Now, let's talk, because, as you said, Kathy Gellis, when she was talking, we had a very interesting conversation about 3 or 4 weeks ago on TWiT. Kathy Gellis said this was a First Amendment issue because you're cutting off the government is cutting off speech for 170 million Americans. Arguing in favor of a ban was Brianna Wu, who ran for Congress in Massachusetts, is absolutely a progressive. But she said, if you knew what I knew, she said, as running for Congress, I got briefings. If you knew what I knew about the dangers posed by TikTok, you would absolutely...
She also was a victim of Gamergate.
Right.
And so she's got scars in this.
She said, you would absolutely support a ban of TikTok. I'm not sure I credit that. Now, here's the question. There's a long-standing tradition that Congress can especially regulate foreign commerce, right? I mean, we have CFIUS, the Committee for Foreign Investment in the U.S.,
but is this foreign commerce?
Well, that's the argument.
And that's why this would be a very interesting court challenge. I don't know what the Supreme Court would do.
But I mean, what even about TikTok would be considered commerce? It's not like it is.
Well, if it is so there are 3 grounds. This is Casey Newton writing in Platformer. Let's talk about the legal fight and how it's likely to play out. Interviews with legal scholars suggest government will have a difficult time proving its effort to ban TikTok is constitutional, but First Amendment cases are often unpredictable, they say. And here's the key.
Especially now.
Here's the key. Instead of focusing on the propaganda threat, or the fact that it's owned by the Chinese, it's expected that if it does go to the Supreme Court, the government will argue it's a security issue.
And they'll say it's secret, and they can't tell you how it's a security issue.
Newton points out the Supreme Court has previously held Congress cannot ban, you'd think they could, but they cannot ban foreign propaganda, including propaganda from China. And this is an old case, Lamont versus Postmaster General. The Postmaster General...
What year was that? What does it say?
Yeah, let me look it up. 1965.
Okay.
Congress told the Postmaster General to block propaganda from the Chinese government, to detain communist political propaganda sent through the mail. And then Congress said the post office needs to send the addressee a card asking whether they wanted the propaganda to be delivered. Obviously, to collect their names.
You commie.
Yeah,
you.
right.
Yeah.
The Supreme Court ruled it had an unconstitutional chilling effect on speech. They overturned the law. So this seems to be that the First Amendment protections are pretty strong. Data privacy, the other argument, Newton says the government will likely struggle to make a convincing argument that banning TikTok is necessary for protecting Americans this way, especially when, and we've been saying this again and again, and this is a professor of law at the University of Minnesota, They don't even need to steal it. The United States is a notorious outlier among developed nations for its lack of a national data privacy law. This means the Chinese could just buy from data brokers and other third-party aggregators much of the same information they would get from having access to TikTok user data. We've been saying that for months. So First Amendment, they're not going to win in the court on that. It is protected speech. Privacy, if you don't pass a law protecting Americans from Meta, it's going to be pretty weak. So they think, Newton thinks that it's going to be a security argument. He says,
Daphne Keller put in something that I didn't understand. I asked her to explain it to me because I'm stupid. Either Blue Sky or Threads. It's a problem now. I can't tell where anybody said anything. I think it was Blue Sky where she said that she read the bill, and there was a clause in there that talks about automatic appeals straight to the appeals court on this law, like skipping a level. And
that's to hurry it up, right? That's to get it right to the Supreme Court if possible.
And that there was here she says, finally read the TikTok bill. One thing I hadn't picked up from the coverage is that legal challenges to the law go directly to the D.C. Circuit Court of Appeals, and there's a short statute of limitations. So I said, can you explain? And she hasn't responded. I don't know what that means.
So the way this law is constructed, TikTok has 9 months to sell itself. 9 months from now to sell itself.
Which they're going to refuse to do.
If the sale is in progress, the president has the right to extend that for another 3 months. By the way, that 9 months brings us up to the day before Inauguration Day.
Oh, boy. But it's also, it seems incredibly unlikely that even if ByteDance in some world decided to sell TikTok, found a buyer, China now has a say in any TikTok sale because during, I believe, one of the earlier waves of a TikTok ban movement, they added these export control regulations that specifically say that the Chinese government now has to approve if someone is going to export a content recommendation algorithm, which is essentially the key part of TikTok. So if anybody wanted to purchase TikTok, and by purchase TikTok, we really mean purchase that For You page algorithm, they would have to get approval from the Chinese government.
Which doesn't help the case because then it says that it's in the thrall of the Chinese government.
Yeah, we don't think the algorithms
they control it.
The algorithm's not for sale. And Steve Mnuchin, the former Treasury Secretary, who is one of the people who wants to buy TikTok, says, I don't need the algorithm. There's some...
He's an idiot.
Well, I know.
What he knows.
But it's an interesting case. Is the algorithm some magic secret sauce, or is it very obvious? Recommendation algorithms aren't that complicated, are they? Anyway,
I suppose that's what we'll find out.
I think it's going to the Supreme Court. I don't know if the Supreme Court is so conservative that they might not ask for receipts when the government says security, Trump's free speech, because that's the argument. Rosenstein says the government can't just say national security and do what it wants, but courts, including the Supreme Court, just give a lot more leeway to the government in First Amendment cases about national security. What arguments? This is again from Casey Newton, quoting law professor Rosenstein. Rosenstein expects to see discussion of China's active manipulation of domestic media, including sweeping censorship and propaganda efforts. The State Department published a report last year that found that China employs a variety of, quote, deceptive and coercive methods. But, we've not seen the receipts. This has all been asserted that TikTok is used to propagandize or that TikTok is used to spy, and we haven't seen evidence of either.
But the bill doesn't. But I don't know that they have to prove that because it's not like this is a court case where they're accused of
it is a court case.
Crime.
No, it is a court case.
No, to the extent that they're not accused of a crime.
Right.
The government just says we don't like them. You got to sell it. They're not. So those arguments.
This is what Rosenstein is saying. You can't just say security to the Supreme Court. They're going to want to see the evidence. Right. So it is a court case. Maybe not. Maybe TikTok just says, yeah, fine, whatever.
No, they're not going to.
It's a big market. Now, there is a precedent. India banned TikTok some years ago. You may remember. And this is the Washington Post's point that this is very good for big tech. When India banned TikTok, people just kind of almost seamlessly moved to Facebook's Instagram and to YouTube Shorts. It wasn't, Meta's Reels, YouTube Shorts gathered up all of those people. Months after Meta launched Reels, Google's YouTube debuted its own short-form video feature. I'm reading from the Washington Post. Industry analyst eMarketer predicts Meta could capture 22 to 27% of TikTok's U.S. ad revenue, more than $2 billion. And Google captures 15 to 20%, another couple of billion. And the precedent is in India, where they just moved right over. This is a quote from the Post again. They had to rebuild their audiences, and some of the appealing features of TikTok were lost, but life moved on. And I think that's probably what's going to happen. It just makes me sad, especially since Congress has yet to do anything about comprehensive privacy legislation.
Yeah.
Yeah, it is a real head scratcher as to why this was a policy priority, given the other things that were on the docket.
Well, I think they really think that this is going to hurt Democrats. I really do.
Yeah,
that's where we stand now in our politics. I'm sad to say,
but Biden went along with it.
Yeah, I think he's making
it's the same way he goes along with being anti-230. He wants to repeal 230, which is just wrong and stupid, but it's old man technology.
Yeah, I think it's just generational. But the White House says we're going to continue to use our TikTok account to promote the president for the election until we can't.
Oh God, I wonder what what do you think the comments are like on the White House TikTok account right now?
Oh,
I bet they're.
Shall we go look?
I feel like we gotta.
Look, this is social media. It's not going to change the world. It's not that important.
It's speech, though. No, we've got to stand up for speech more. It's more important than that. It's not just, it's social media. That's like saying, it's just a printing press. It's just a broadcast tower. No, it's the people's printing press, the people's broadcast tower. That's why we got to be angry on their behalf, our behalf.
Well, speaking of which, you guys are pretty close to Biden's age. Is there any sort of message that you'd like to get out to your comrades?
You young people, you should just get off your phones and go put your feet in the grass and smell the air, listen to the birds. Watch the clouds.
I can listen to the bees on TikTok with all of the beekeeper accounts that I follow.
That's not the real bees. That's fake bees. What is Biden's account?
I'm trying to find that now. I don't think it's thepotus.gov. I don't think that's it.
It's Biden HQ on TikTok.
Okay, thank you.
Wow, they didn't get POTUS.
I don't think they can
Dark
use
Brandon.
Oh, let me pause that. I don't want to. I'm just looking at the comments. Thank you, Dark Brandon. Signs a TikTok ban into law today while still posting to TikTok. Yuck.
Okay, that is an incredible TikTok user vibe, though. Signs TikTok ban into law while still posting.
Yeah. Keep TikTok, bro. Keep TikTok up. Joe is a dumbass. Give us the app, Joe. I'm here for petty Joe Biden. Bro has an account, too. Keep TikTok. Saw this on TikTok. Need to keep TikTok. A lot of keep TikToks.
Wow.
Look at that. It's all saying keep TikTok.
Wow.
If nothing else, it's certainly the case that Scalise says, this isn't going to be this is going to be good for us in the long run, especially since Trump is now saying, no, don't ban TikTok.
Yeah.
He's made the Republican Party the party of TikTok.
They slavishly do everything that he wants except this.
It's so bizarre.
Could have had a border bill. They got rid of it because of him.
Well, I don't want to get political on this, but I just
no, I'm just saying the inconsistency is amazing.
And I disclaim my interest in this because my son is a TikTok star and has made a career on
What's
TikTok.
Salt Hank's take on this?
He, a year ago started moving over to Instagram. I mean, he needed to diversify. So he does YouTube Shorts. He says at this point YouTube does not deliver for him very well. But Instagram, he's got 2.5 million TikTok followers, but only 1.5 million Reels followers. But I think he's pretty satisfied.
Only 1.5 million.
He just,
Poor him.
it's so fun to watch him, he's got a cookbook coming out in October. He does these cooking videos, and he's got his latest sponsor, Kentucky Fried Chicken.
What?
Wow.
I know. He's doing all right, my boy. So he's got better sponsors than we do. He's got a larger audience, and he got a larger audience within months. And now he has probably his ad revenue. I don't ask him those numbers, but I'm sure his ad revenue is.
So did he go? Where is he at? Like Kentucky Fried Chicken headquarters? I'm watching now. A saucy nuggets dispenser. That's what he's doing.
Yeah, he's testing nuggets.
Whoa.
This is a risky thing. I got to say, this is a risky thing to do because it's an ad, right? Plain and simple.
And the comments say that, you know,
Yeah, I love you, but this feels forced.
Second one
Pretty
is how much is KFC throwing at you, dog?
Right. I think in the long run, people go, well, good. I hope you got a big paycheck out of that, and then move on.
Get that bag,
every YouTuber is doing the same thing, right? So.
Oh yeah.
Mm-hmm.
But yeah, let's see. He's got Whistle Pig. That's a good sponsor. Nice whiskey manufacturer. He's got some good sponsors. I know he flew out to New York to do Panera. He's doing all right.
Panera.
Yeah.
Oh.
He's doing all right.
Tell him to tell Panera to bring back the French onion soup at Panera Bread New York City location.
And the black bean soup.
I shall.
It's criminal that I can't get a French onion soup at my local Panera Bread. What is the world coming to?
I agree. I agree.
And in
keep
fact,
TikTok. Bring back French onion soup.
Yep.
Those are our causes.
Yep.
In fact, Saul Hank has an excellent French onion soup recipe on TikTok. So when worlds collide and all that, right?
Get it while you can.
Yeah. You can make it. Make his own. It's funny because I actually wooed his mother making French onion soup. So it all, I don't know how he knew that, but it all comes around. Let me see if I can find it.
It was good soup, Leo.
It worked. Here it is. Salt Hank's French onion soup. That's what you're looking for.
Oh.
That's what you're looking
better
for.
Than Panera's.
Yeah. This is the real deal. This is how I made it. I didn't, it's funny. I taught him a few things. I cooked with him for sure. But most of what he learned on YouTube from, YouTube cooks. Yeah. And that's his whole life. That's all he really wanted to be. And I think he's living his dream.
A YouTuber? Or a cook?
Well, see, this is what's really interesting. He cannot break through on YouTube because it's more long form. He broke through on TikTok for sure. The short form suits. You see how he edits really quickly.
Yeah.
And their sound is very sharp. It's all about sound. It's almost what do they call that? It's hypnotic sound. It's ASMR. It's fast paced.
It's more visceral.
It's visceral. And YouTube is much more slow paced, right? He's had a hard time breaking through. Reels is so close that I think he's happy. He's fine with Reels. But honestly, what he does was for TikTok. 2.7 million followers. I mean, that's it. There's a guy. This French onion soup recipe that you just watched has 27.9 million views. That's TikTok. Wow. That's the power of TikTok. And he's not even close to the biggest TikToker by far. Now, I have to say, he doesn't make any money from TikTok. Their creator fund and all that, they don't share much revenue with him. They haven't made a lot of money. That's part of the reason. They're not profitable.
I mean, they're not profitable, yeah.
But he's smart enough to know that what you don't do it for their money. You might on YouTube, but you do it to raise your, profile so that you can get a cookbook and you can get advertisers and get a TV show and all of that.
It's democratized work for exposure.
Exactly.
How old was he
democratizing
when he stopped wanting to take over TWiT? There was a time, right?
He still wants to take over.
I thought
TWiT.
he did.
No, we're talking. He worked here for a while as a salesman and realized he didn't like that side of the business at all. No. So that was a good lesson for him. He worked here more than a year trying to sell ads, and he hated it. That was a good lesson for him that he doesn't want to do that. So
like his father.
Yeah, I don't like it either. Thank God I met Lisa.
Well, now he does a different type of ad sales.
Well, somebody sells those ads, by the way. He makes them. Mm-hmm. But he has managers and people who sell that. Now, here is a YouTube Well, I don't want to keep going on Assault Hank and all that, but I could if you
This Week in Salt Hank.
if you talk me into it, I could. The YouTube stuff is just not as compelling. I think it's 14 minutes, and so it's hard for him to make something as compelling. That's just because he's not suited to that medium. He's suited to the TikTok medium, frankly.
All right, welcome to episode 2. So we're making some beautiful short ribs. We're going to braise them in a nice spicy broth.
So this is just—it's not the same, is it?
It's a TV show.
It's very different. I mean, still 100,000 views though.
Yeah, and 120,000 subscribers, but that pales compared to 2.7 million followers.
This is also a lot more work than what he has to do for TikTok.
It's true.
Yeah.
That's true. Although
Ain't
those
that true.
TikToks are not that easy. That's an all-day shoot to do a minute TikTok. I don't know. It just makes so I say that by way of saying I do have a conflict of interest with TikTok. I love TikTok, and it made my son's career. But I also think it's wrong. I just don't see the hazard that it poses any more than, look, it's clear that the same hazard is posed by Twitter, which is a hive of scum and infamy, including Chinese propaganda and Russian propaganda.
Well, yeah, this is the thing, too. China is awful because they censor. Let's be like China.
Right. That's not the excuse. Let's not be like China. That's the whole point.
Yes. Well, that's depressing.
I think a hive of scum and infamy is a potentially very good show title.
It's actually, I think the quote is villainy, but I couldn't really call it villainy, so infamy is better. Yeah. You will never find a more wretched hive of scum and villainy. There we go. So now, I don't know.
Yeah.
Here's the thing that bothers me most of all. As much as we hate it, government and politics is important because that determines our future. But what happens when these things happen is people, I'm tempted to too, throw in the towel. They throw up their hands and say, well, government doesn't represent me. It's just some nosy Parkers in Washington, D.C., and the hell with them all. But that's in a way, that's what they want. The less we interfere with their evil plans, the freer they are to do what they want. Well,
it's even more than that, Leo. I would say now it's an effort by one side. I'm sorry, folks, trying to get political here, but give me a minute, to destroy those institutions. It's not just we get to take them over. It's that these are awful institutions. We're no longer in charge of them. Ergo, we're going to destroy them. And so cynical acts like this, let's do something that even though the boss of our party doesn't like, it's gonna make the Democrats look bad. That's nihilism of the worst sort.
Yeah, and the long-term impact is what I worry about, where people just give up. They no longer want to vote. They no longer want to participate. They just say, well, it's hopeless. I give up. I'm just going to live my life and screw them. Ban or not, says Spyglass, this is the end of TikTok as we know it. Now, by the way, this is the point. Whether they win and lose in Congress, what happens now is advertisers leave and creators leave the platform. I mean, you don't think Henry hears this and says, well, I'm going to put more effort into TikTok. Absolutely not.
Well, doesn't Henry hang on for as long? You're making a bet. It's just like stock market. You're making a bet on the futures.
Yeah, but if advertisers, the service, this is from Spyglass, is already reporting to bleed money despite its size and growth. Will ByteDance keep subsidizing it if revenue starts falling and if Congress says, you're going to sell? Yeah. It is what kills a platform, whether it gets banned or not. I think it's probably the case at this point that it's dead. Although, as Spyglass points out, the best hope TikTok may now have is that Donald Trump comes riding back into the White House. 270 days from today is January 19th, 2025, the day before inauguration. Surely TikTok can argue for a one-day delay while they await executive order.
There'll be court delays, yeah.
Yeah. Wild.
But then you also look at what if it does get sold to, what's his name?
Steve Mnuchin.
And Twitter is in the hands of of Musk, what happened to public discourse? What happened to the tools that gave us public discourse? And I love it dearly, and I want it to succeed, but Mastodon is still a little Mastodon. And it doesn't need to be huge, but our public discourse is in bad hands.
I think social media is really under assault in general, thanks to people like Jonathan Haidt and his book, you know, how it's making teenagers insane.
Mike Masnick had a great review of the book.
Is it really a loss to lose? I know what you're going to say, Jeff, but I'm going to let you say it. Is it really a loss to lose social media? There's a lot. You know, Twitter is just made to get you in trouble, to make you upset, to ruin your day. I don't think that's a good place to spend your time. Do we really need something like this?
So, a fine advocate for the devil you are, sir. And I will give you one word back, which is Black Lives Matter. We wouldn't have had that, and Me Too.
I don't think that's true. I think you said that, but Black Lives Matter was more than a Twitter account.
It was ignored by media for centuries.
I do think that Jeff has a point that social media has ignited waves of social movements at a speed and velocity that is previously unfathomable. And if we were to roll back the clock to where people did not have access to these places of community and means for organizing, that would be bad.
As I've studied the history of old media's reception of new technologies and competitors for my paper on the California Journalism Preservation Act, it really struck me more than anything else how the protectionism that big media engages in, the conflict of interest it engages in without disclosure. And so you've got a devil's pact here of political and media forces trying to hamper and kill these new competitors, especially because they are the voice of people.
But as somebody in the Discord is saying, Barry FM, we had social movements long before the internet. We had the anti-temperance movement. We had the suffrage movement. We had the civil rights movement. No.
Finally, but
in 1965, we passed the Civil Rights Act thanks to Martin Luther King and a determined nonviolent protest countrywide for years. That didn't need Twitter.
Yeah, to clarify, I'm not saying that social media is a necessity for any social movement. Yeah. I'm just saying it is an expedient in a way that I think it is hard to ignore now.
I think it would happen anyway.
You can't really put that back in the bottle.
Oh, no, I think it would happen anyway.
In 50 years.
I don't know. I don't think so. I think that people will find a way to fight for justice regardless of social media. I think that's myopic. I don't think social media is necessary for social justice.
Easy for us to say.
Yes, I think you're correct that if suddenly all social media was wiped out, people would still find a way to organize and fight for justice. It's just it is a form of communication that makes that quite easy.
It's more democratizing. Listen, in East Berlin, they used mimeograph machines and typewriters. Yes, people will use what they have to use.
And things like Signal and Telegram and WhatsApp are not social media. Messaging systems are used to organize quite effectively.
But they're not used to convince. They don't reach enough people to do that, to bring in new people, to bring in more people. Yeah, you can organize the people you already have.
All right, Jeff, I'll play Leo's advocate here.
I got you.
Do you
2
think
against
that there's
1 now,
any
Jeff.
chance that what we could be doing, what we're doing right now is engaging in a moral panic ourselves? That the idea that, TikTok's going to be banned and now we're up in arms imagining all the horrors this could rot?
Good counselor, good effort. But I would say that's not really what I'm arguing. I'm arguing simply for the defense. This is what I do in my next book, The Web We Weave, on sale October 8th.
Hey, there we go.
I argue that it's about defense of speech. I'm not defending internet companies. I'm not even defending the internet. I'm defending the rights that it has brought more people. And that's what matters to me. And speech matters.
I mean, when the internet first appeared, I, like you, really saw it as an opportunity to democratize speech. Before the internet, speech really was only available to the person who owned the presses or the microphones or the TV towers. And It really opened that up to everybody. And by the way, the ills and the goods that have come out of that are almost in equal measure, right? And what we didn't anticipate all the ills that might come out of that. But we did anticipate that the democratization of speech would be a good thing. And YouTube is an amazing example of that. Anybody can make a video. Blogging was an amazing example of that. Anybody could create a blog. It's gotten easier and easier. Twitter made it even easier still. You didn't need to really have any skills at all, and technologically speaking. You could just write a line or two and ignite a fire. I agree. That's a very powerful tool. But it's a double-edged tool. It's a double-edged sword, and it cuts both ways. And I'm starting to wonder if the benefit that we get from it is not outweighed by the ill that it causes.
Who's to decide that? That's the problem. That's a conservative position, as in conserving the power that existed before to control speech. Every time there's a mechanism that enables more people to speak, there is an effort to stop that, to control that, to worry about that. And in the end, we figure it out, because in the end, people have a right to speak and a right to be heard, not listened to. Nobody says that I got to listen to idiots, but I can try to be heard. And this takes away that from so many people who do not have the power that I've had for 50 years as a journalist.
No, I agree
white,
with you.
Male, cis, tenured,
emeritus
journalist. I've had this power for 50 years, and there's a hell of a lot of people out there who did not.
Yes,
still don't.
I would agree with you 100%. Anything that would take away the ability for everybody to have a say in their lives or in the conversation is a bad thing. So I'd agree with you in that. Let's take a break. We're going to take a little break, and when we come back, the government did do a very good thing. A thing I don't know if people really understand what happened yesterday. But we'll talk about that in just a second. Hey, it's This Week in Giggles, or government, or Google, or in general, with Paris Martineau and Jeff Jarvis. But first, a word from our sponsor, Yahoo Finance. Every time, when on MacBreak Weekly or This Week in Google, it is not unusual for me to say, the stock market reacted poorly today to the news that Google just fired 28 people or whatever, and pull up a stock chart. And I don't know if you've noticed, but almost universally when I do that, I pull up Yahoo Finance. I have a strong preference for the financial information I get from yahoofinance.com. It is a really good tool. One of the things we use on the air all the time is the so-called advanced chart, which I really love because I can zoom the scale in and out. Let's take a 6-month scale, and I can go back in time. I can look ahead. I can zoom it in and out, and that is a really valuable way to look at a trend line. The news headlines in Yahoo Finance are incredible. This is, I think people forget what a great tool this is for people who invest. When you're talking about your financial future, you want to do everything, and you want to do everything right. You've saved, you've researched. I assume you've invested all you can. I know I did. But now it's time to take those investments to the next level by using the tool that every financial great has used for over 25 years, Yahoo Finance. Whether you're a seasoned investor or looking for extra guidance, Yahoo Finance provides all the tools, all the data you need in one place. It is still to this day the #1 finance destination, and for good reason. Because with Yahoo Finance, you can get a holistic look at the entire financial news cycle. I'm talking breaking news, original editorial perspectives, analyst ratings, and more. This is a really good way to understand what's going on in the markets. And I've done this, and you can do it too. Securely link your brokerage accounts for a unified view of your wealth, your net worth, your 401k, all your investments. That comprehensive perspective is very important. It distinguishes great investors from the also-rans, and Yahoo Finance ensures you have the insight to examine your wealth in its entirety. 90 million people use Yahoo Finance every month, and I'm one of them. The real strength is helping you on your way to financial success. For comprehensive financial news and analysis, visit the brand behind every great investor, yahoofinance.com, the #1 financial destination. Discover it again. I'm sure you've used it. It's still there, and it's still great. It's better than ever. yahoofinance.com. yahoofinance.com. And I have it bookmarked. I go there every day. yahoofinance.com. Thank you, Yahoo Finance, for supporting This Week in Giggles. I have to say that I have been bound by non-compete clauses in the past. I'm proud to say we've never used them here, partly because non-compete clauses are illegal in California. But now, thanks to the FTC, they're illegal in the entire country. The FTC banned non-compete agreements that restrict job switching. This is something Silicon Valley has used for years. You go to work for Apple, you'll sign a non-compete that says you can't go across the street to Google or Meta. And what that does is it keeps workers from getting the optimum pay, from getting the best job. The Federal Trade Commission yesterday banned employers from using non-compete contracts to prevent most workers from joining rival firms. Popular with labor, but the Wall Street Journal says it faces an imminent court challenge from business groups. It's the first time in more than 50 years that FTC officials have issued, since Reagan, I believe, since before Reagan, have issued a regulation to mandate an economy-wide change in how companies compete. This is a big change. This is Lena Khan at work. I think it's a great thing. Jeff, explain why a non-compete to keep you from going to another job, from job switching, is a bad thing.
It's a bad thing in a lot of ways in that it limits the employee's ability to be flexible and move around. It keeps wages down because it's harder for companies to try to get you and compete and give you more money because you can't go there. It limits, in journalism, it limits people's voices. You get people who get fired from CNN and they can't go, Brian Stelter can't go anywhere else for a certain amount of time. Of course, because he's also being paid by them for a while. I don't know how this affects severance periods. And it's just simply anti-competitive. And so I'm glad it's gone. Now, that's not the only thing that happens. I also, when I was at Time Inc., I refused to sign the managing editor's contract because it had a non-disparagement clause. And I said, as a journalist, I'm not going to sign a shut-up clause.
Disparagement is my double middle name.
Exactly. So as a result, even though I quit, though they would have been happy to fire me, they wanted me gone. Yeah. I gave up 3 years salary, bonus, and benefits.
I'm amazed. I mean, we do ask people when they leave to sign a non-disparagement clause, and it's usually contingent. Their severance usually is contingent on that. That's very common, and that takes a lot of guts to not sign it. But once you get the severance, that's that. Right. Yeah, 3 years. I would have gotten 3 years. So far, everybody
I
has
believe
signed
actually if it was not the FTC, another regulatory body recently had a decree that banning specifically that, Leo, tying severance to the signing of non-disparagement.
It's too late. You already signed it. It's too late.
I actually think that.
But I mean, this was like a similar.
I think it voids the past, actually.
Does it void it?
Yeah.
Okay, go ahead. Go ahead. Disparage us. Just
talk about how Leo eats sloppy hamburgers.
Yeah,
go ahead.
I'm a pig.
You can disparage him.
It turns out one of the reasons the FTC could do this is non-compete clauses violate an old law. There's a 110-year-old law that prohibits unfair methods of competition. So it isn't merely them making up a rule. They're enforcing a law that's been on the books for 110 years. But 1 in 5 American workers has a non-compete specifically that keeps people from working for a competitor. Patrick Delahanty, our engineer, said he used to work for Monster.com and had a non-compete that kept him from working for another job site for 4 years. That's very typical.
4 years.
4 years. That's very typical.
And Patrick didn't get 4 years severance.
No. That was
beyond your severance payment.
He signed that on entry. As these are mostly signed not on leaving, but on as you begin a new job. Yes. Sales staff, engineers, doctors, and salon workers are among the most common type of workers affected by these non-compete clauses. The reason is you go to work for a hair salon, and they don't want you to go across the street to another hair salon and take all your clients with you. Yeah. Businesses say, well, this is a good way to protect our intellectual property and our investment in our team. The final rule becomes effective in 4 months. It was literally hours later the 2 lawsuits were filed.
Well, the Wall Street Journal's going bananas on this.
Yeah.
Did you read Mike Masnick's write-up of this in Tech-Dirt, Leo?
Not yet. No. What did he say?
I thought this was a really interesting perspective. I mean, he begins this piece by saying, I think the spirit of this law is correct. Non-competes should be banned. I like the FTC's approach. However, let's see.
He doubts their authority to do
basically,
That's what I'm wondering.
No, specifically what he's saying is that it looks like this is being positioned to challenge, like that people have already filed a 570-page lawsuit within hours of this decree being dropped.
That was good. They worked on that fast. Must have used ChatGPT.
Very shortly after the new rule dropped, long before anyone could possibly read the 570 pages, a Texas-based tax service company also filed the lawsuit. The 570 pages, I guess, is the lawsuit. Is the
FTC
The
rule.
timing, the location, and the lawyers all suggest that this was clearly planned out. The case was filed in northern Texas. The law firm filing the case is Gibson Dunn, which is one of the law firms you choose when you're planning to go to the Supreme Court. One of the lawyers is Gene Scalia, son of late Supreme Court Justice Antonin Scalia.
It's all just a
also their general counsel clerked for Alito and is married to someone who clerked for Alito and Thomas. Wow.
It doesn't just seek to block the rule. It's basically looking to destroy what limited authority the FTC has.
So
the main crux of the argument is on more firm legal footing, Masnick writes, claiming that the rule goes far beyond the FTC's rulemaking authority. So it's a really interesting piece that Mike writes up because it says that this all seems to be kind of heading towards a collision course for the FTC and people looking to weaken its power.
FTC, by overreaching, or this is what the lawsuits claim, is demonstrating why they shouldn't be allowed to do anything, that it should be an act of Congress, not the FTC, that decides these kinds of things. And so Mike's concern is that this will actually undermine the FTC's authority in a broad way. In fact, the complaint says the FTC is unconstitutionally structured. The commission itself is unconstitutionally structured because it's insulated from presidential oversight. This just gives the Supreme Court, this is totally an opportunity to get the Supreme Court in on this and say, you know what, you're right. The Constitution vests executive power in the president, not the commission or its commissioners. The FTC Act,
part of the executive branch,
insulates the commissioners from presidential control by restricting the president's ability to remove them, shielding their actions from appropriate political accountability. By the way,
let's get rid of the postmaster.
FCC is also run this way, by the way.
The lawsuit is basically attempting to say that all independent agencies are unconstitutional. This is one hell of a claim, writes Mesnick, and would do some pretty serious damage to the ability of the U.S. government to function. Things that weren't that political before would become political, and it would be a pretty big mess.
Once again, they're trying to destroy the institutions.
Sounds like the Federalist Society. That's who's doing this.
Doesn't
I mean... Yeah, this has Fed Society, FedSoc all over it.
So if you're a conspiracy-minded person, you might say I don't believe Lena Khan and the FTC would participate in this. I think that she is genuinely motivated by a desire to make the world better for workers and for all of us. But unfortunately, she is played into the hands of people.
She's politically naive.
Maybe she is. She's played into the hands of people. And the 3-2 Democratic majority in the FTC have played into the hands of people who would not merely want to preserve the non-compete, but in fact would want to eliminate these independent agencies entirely. No FTC, no FCC. I imagine there are a few other environmental regulatory commissions they would like to get rid of as well.
Yeah. And as Mike points out, it's happening at a time when the Supreme Court majority has made it pretty
Perfect
clear
timing.
that dismantling
Yeah.
the entire administrative state is something that it really looks forward to doing.
Mike is so good.
Mike is great.
Mike says non-compete should be banned, but the end result of this rule could be they end up being used more widely, and that would really suck. Okay, well, we'll watch with interest. Maybe premature celebration.
As ever.
Yeah, as ever.
Well, you tried to cheer us up there, Leo, but you
sorry.
failed.
I've got something that could cheer us up. Line 104. Oh no, there's an orb shortage.
Wait a minute. Worldcoin is running out of orbs?
Worldcoin can't make enough orbs. People are desperate for these orbs. They've got 300 to 500 orbs out there that were supposed to be floating around, picking up eye scans and biometric scans to generate cryptocurrency. But people are so hungry for the orbs, they can't make them fast enough. And they're
I
facing
love
an orb shortage.
Reed Albergatti's caption on his photo of a person staring at the WorldCoin orb. The caption is, "Out of this orb, Sam Altman-backed crypto project backed and baked crypto project WorldCoin faces an orb shortage." Oh,
I just thought it was.
Are they hard to make?
You got a lot of tech in that orb.
There are currently between three. By the way, the orb scans your iris.
No.
There are 300 to 500 orbs in the field, according to Tools for Humanity, the startup behind WorldCoin. They're manufactured in one factory in Germany. They look simple, but they're actually packed with sensors designed to outsmart attempts to create fake world IDs, ensuring that each digital identity issued is tied to a real person.
Do we believe any of that?
I don't know. If you scan your iris, they give you some crypto, WorldCoin, in fact. And apparently that's been...
Except in what, Spain? It was
Except
Spain
in nowhere. I don't... Anyway, you get 10 WorldCoins. And then, oh, by the way, you get 3 WorldCoins every 2 weeks thereafter. So it's like a universal basic
One man
income.
used his WorldCoin to buy a goat over Easter. So, you know.
That man was Craig Newmark.
Just FYI, the value of one WorldCoin is $5.
Well, that's a lot of money, especially not in the U.S., but
You're a goat.
in India or Africa. That, you know, it's $50 they're giving you.
Yeah, you got $50 to get your eyes scanned.
And then
Not
another
bad.
$15 every 2 weeks. I can understand that. And who cares if they've got my iris? It's very TESCREAL, right? Right, Jeff? It's all about preparing
there
for
we
the
go.
future of something.
Drink. Last time I spilled water on my face. We'll see if it goes better this time.
Well, maybe that's why you tweeted, "I need a Hellgate, New York investigation of all the various NYC
Oh, guys,
nut
we gotta
factories,
talk about these nuts.
inflatable nuts."
For those who do not live in New York
wait a minute, was this
City.
posted on 420? I'm curious.
No, this was posted today.
Okay.
I put it up on the rundown.
These nuts haunt me. They are kind of like a wacky
These
inflatable arm. These nuts. That nut. Look at that nut. Why is that nut so sensual looking?
This is what's
Not
great
that
about
one. That one's
This
fine.
is what's so great about New York City is
It is a like small nut-based chain, local chain. You can go in there and get nuts by the scoopful. But over the last year, these inflatable nuts have started appearing. That one is new. That one's the ones near my office.
Did you take a tour around purposely just to take these pictures?
These are all just photos that I've come across in my day-to-day life. That's my skee-ball team in front of the sexy nut. It demands to be taken. And then if you scroll down, people responded with 2 new nuts I hadn't seen: an Upper East Side nut and oh no, that's not it. That one, the Upper East Side cashew. Look at it.
Oh, that's kind of
It's terrifying.
Yeah,
There's another
it
one
is.
that's a David Foster Wallace nut. Yeah.
or a salt Hank nut, depending on your
Or a salt Hank.
Yeah,
nut.
that's true.
Yeah.
So, I mean, these guys are just outside the nuts factory all throughout New York City. There's a different one in front of each location, and I wanted to know why. How?
Have you gone in and bought any nuts there, Paris?
No, never. Well, actually, I bought some spices from there once.
It is really only the case
spices.
that in a place as dense as New York City that you could spot a trend like that. Otherwise, they'd be too spread out, and you wouldn't really catch on right away. But because everything's within a few city blocks, you immediately catch the trend.
Yeah,
the inflatable nut trend. Yeah,
but without social media, we wouldn't know it.
We wouldn't know it.
What
Those
a
nuts would just be
loss to
out
the
there
world.
by themselves.
It is.
What a loss to the world.
So I'm saying that in this tweet, the context for those who are not in New York, Hellgate is a great hyper-local New York media publication, started a year or two ago by some New York City journalists. Highly recommend their stuff. And I was like, Hellgate, you need to get to the bottom of this. Figure out who is making these inflatable nuts? What is the direction that they are given? Were they told to make that nut look like an Instagram influencer? The pistachio?
What's fascinating too is that there's a variety of the nuts. Now there is one thing that all New Yorkers know is there's one standard huge story high inflatable rat.
Yes.
Is used at all strikes.
I do know that
yes,
rat.
Scabby, the rat. And I believe that they've had a manufacturing issue to where the supply of Scabbies are limited.
Oh, there is more than one Scabby, just like there's more than one Worldcoin orb.
And more than one
Nut
Colonel
Factory
Sanders.
nut. Yeah. Oh, yeah.
Is it just Mr. Peanut Extended Universe?
It's a great question.
Or the PEU, as we call it. Or the MBEU.
See, these are all questions that should be answered in the investigation published.
All right.
I think you're right.
Let's take a break. When we come back, the man who killed Google search. I knew there was something wrong with Google search, and now I know why. But first, a word from our sponsor, Bitwarden. I love Bitwarden. This is the password manager you should use. It's the one I use. It's the one Steve Gibson uses. I'll tell you why I love Bitwarden. It's open source, which means you know it's good. It doesn't have a back door. It's properly written. But it also means the community can contribute back, and it has. That's why Bitwarden's always getting nice new features. It also means that Bitwarden for individuals is free. It's open source. It's free forever. Unlimited passwords. It supports passkeys. I love the passkey support. It also supports YubiKeys. All of that for free. It is a cost-effective solution for home and office that works on every device you have and could dramatically increase your chance of staying safe online. Always adding new features. I've talked before how a Security Now listener actually added a feature to Bitwarden. We were talking about the fact that most password managers use a password derivative function, a hash, called PBKDF2, which is flawed. It's not memory hard. And Steve Gibson said, well, there are two very good algorithms for this, scrypt and Argon2, which we probably should start using, especially now that our machines are fast enough. Quexen, who was a listener, wrote two of implementations, one for each, and submitted what they call a pull request to the open source repository for Bitwarden, saying, hey, here, I offer these to you. Bitwarden looked at them carefully. They vetted them, of course, worked with Quexen, and said, we're going to implement Argon 2. And with that simple stroke of the pen, they made themselves so much more secure than other password managers. I immediately turned on Argon 2 and turned off PBKDF2. That's just an example of how open source can really make a difference in this sphere. They just launched a really nice, elegant new feature called inline autofill. Makes it easier than ever to log into websites. Now, when you click on your name or your password on a website, you'll get a drop-down menu and that lets you choose the login and fills it in immediately. It's so nice. It's how all password managers should work. Clicking on the login is exactly what you expect, what you'd want. But you do have to turn this on. So if you're a current Bitwarden user, new users, I think, will get it automatically. But if you're a current user, go to your settings menu in the browser extension, select autofill, and then in the drop-down box, show autofill menu on form fields to pick which option works best for you. Wired Magazine calls it best for most people. Fast Company honored Bitwarden as one of the 2023 brands that matter in security. It is the open source password manager trusted by millions. For your individual use, but also for your office use. In fact, you can get started with a free trial of the Teams or Enterprise plan right now at bitwarden.com/twit. but you can also start using it free across all devices as an individual, free forever. Bitwarden.com/twit. It starts with the free plan, the personal plan, and then businesses can add their own organizational vaults as well to this. Bitwarden also allows you to host your own vault if you don't want to, you say, I don't trust anybody. You can do that as well. Although I trust Bitwarden and use them to host my vault. I just think Bitwarden's great. Free for life. Bitwarden.com/twit. It's a really good, I know you use a password manager because you're smart. But when friends and family, and you know how it is, you say, please, can you just use a password manager, please? When they say, no, it's too expensive, it's too complicated, show them Bitwarden, free. And I think they might just change their tune. I just saw a story somewhere that said like 50% of all corporate employees reuse passwords, like use the same password over and over again. Like half. You need Bitwarden. You need Bitwarden. Thank you, Bitwarden, for your support. Bitwarden.com/twit. Let them know you heard it here. Helps us an awful lot if you do that. Biden signed it. It's in the big headline.
Yep.
Biden signs TikTok bill into law, starting the clock for ByteDance to divest. 9 months. I'm just sad. That's just really, I don't think our security is improved because of that. And our privacy, I don't think it's improved because of that. I mean, look, I have no problem with a government agency or the military or even a private companies to say to its employees, don't use this on your company phone or your government phone. No TikTok. I don't have a problem with that. That's fine. That's appropriate. But for the government to tell me on my personal phone I can't use TikTok because they might invade your privacy, screw you. You're trying to invade my privacy right and left. Who are you to say that? Jeez.
Keep TikTok.
Yeah.
A chant is heard around the world. Keep TikTok.
Well, no, you know what? It's over. I think it's over. It doesn't even matter what we say at this point. It's advertisers will abandon the platform, creators will abandon the platform, and it's just gonna wither away.
Tell Hank not to leave. No, Hank, no.
Oh, I don't think he'll leave.
Tell
You're
Hank
right.
to hold the line.
He'll keep. But of course, who benefits from this is Mark Zuckerberg.
Yep.
That's who benefits
Always
from
happens.
it. Yep. In fact, by the way,
Regulatory
there's a good piece in the New York Times suggesting that this has been planned all along by Mark, like this was a strategy.
What? That sounds like a conspiracy theory.
Yeah.
Well, let me see if I can find the article because I can read you. It started a few years ago. He started.
Is that an article or a column?
That's a good question. This is the Washington Post. 2019, and it's not an opinion piece. It is. It's analysis. What is that? Is that opinion?
Analysis is new. It's not opinion.
News
it's in between it. It's news analysis.
Mark
Or it's
Zuckerberg.
opinion written by somebody who's not in the opinion section. But yeah.
Well, and it's Will Arimas, who I trust. So we know that Facebook was terrified of TikTok, that they tried to buy it and couldn't, just as they did with Snapchat. So they immediately cloned it. But TikTok has maintained its hold on teens and is making inroads with adults. In 2022, after Meta's flagship Facebook app lost users for the first time, the company overhauled it to be more like TikTok. This is Will Arimas again. Struggling to fend off TikTok in the marketplace, Facebook tried another tack, demonizing it. Zuckerberg took aim at TikTok in a 2019 speech at Georgetown University. While our services like WhatsApp are used by protesters and activists everywhere due to strong encryption and privacy protections, on TikTok, the Chinese app growing quickly around the world, mentions of these protests are censored, even in the U.S. Is that the internet we want? He said. This is 6 years ago. 2 years ago, Washington Post reports Facebook's quietly paying a major Republican consulting firm targeted victory to push local news stories and op-eds that painted TikTok as a danger to kids and society. These included stories about dangerous viral TikTok trends. Remember Tide Pods? Many of which turned out to be overblown or to have also spread on Facebook.
Moral panic.
Still, the narratives caught on with lawmakers who raised them at congressional hearings. Last year, when the FTC announced plans to bar Meta from monetizing the personal data of minors, the company blasted the agency for, quote, allowing Chinese companies like TikTok to operate without constraint on American soil. So, yeah, you could say that they lobbied for this. They got what they wanted. All right, I'm sorry. I brought it up again. I'm just mad as heck. I know. They're really far more important things in the world. This is not the most important.
Speech is important. Speech is important.
But, yeah, I mean, look, if we don't talk about it and fight for it.
Exactly.
Who
Where
is?
else?
I mean, I don't think CNN's going to.
Where else could Bitwarden advertise and speech on TikTok be protected?
Thank you.
This is why we exist.
That's right. Because we care
You
about
said something
Why you need to subscribe to Club TWiT so that Leo can keep doing this and reach 20 years.
not just me,
Yes.
you, Paris, and you, Jeff, and
Yes.
all of you.
And
You know, one of the
Benito.
things, we had this, we celebrated our 19th anniversary a little late. We did the real anniversary was last week, as you know. I mentioned it on the show. But we had a 19th anniversary party Sunday. We had an open studio. Lots of people. It was so nice.
How was that?
So much fun. We went to Lagunitas afterwards, and I think there were about 20, 25 people in the studio. Another 10 went with us over to Lagunitas, and we had a nice meal and talked.
You picked it all up?
Yeah.
Oh, you're
It
amazing.
was club members. But Lisa is amazing. But she actually used her personal credit card to pick it up. One of the things I realized talking to all these people, we have the best audience, an amazing audience.
Yes.
From a professor of physics at University of California at Berkeley to a woman who works at Facebook on the Meta glasses to her I guess boyfriend, I don't want to make assumptions, her male friend who works on the Pixel Watch. He came from Fitbit. He does the Fitbit integration on the Pixel Watch, to IT professionals, engineers, coders from all over the world. And it was really fun. It's always fun. And I realized the real benefit of TWiT is not us, you and me and Paris and everybody, but the community, us and everybody, the community around us is amazing. And so, yeah, one of the benefits of Club TWiT is you get to be in that community in the Discord. You get to hang out. Well, all right, Joe is an art school graduate. Well, Joe, we'll give you a pass. but everybody else was pretty nice. No, I love Joe. Joe came 2 weeks ago to visit us, the guy who does all of our stickers. It's a great community. You can go there on the Discord. You can ask questions. You can get help. You can talk about all sorts of things that geeks care about, space and beer and everything.
Well, it also says a lot about what you do in terms of you're serving an audience that's smart and savvy.
They are
'Cause if you didn't serve them well, they'd desert you. But that's the point, is we're all together trying to learn more about this stuff.
So one more benefit for your $7 a month, besides the ad-free shows and the special stuff we do and video of shows we only put out audio for, and access to the Discord, is a really great community you can hang out in. And I think community is extremely important. So if you're not a member of Club TWiT, join the community. $7 a month, twit.tv/clubtwit.
If 5 to 10% of you guys subscribe to Club TWiT and we get to stay around, me and Jeff could finally make it out there for a live taping.
That's actually true.
Yep.
And we would fire all the advertisers. I love, actually, Bitwarden, people like that. I'd probably just do them for free. Let's put it that way. Because there's some that, we recommend stuff all the time that is free. By the way, after talking to the woman who works at Meta, she let me play with her glasses. I bought a pair.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, and they'll come. And Meta has just added a new feature to this where the Meta AI, Llama AI, is built in. And you can say, hey, I'm looking at something. What is that? And it will, for better or worse, tell you what it is. So they're enhancing it quite a bit.
You've got to test them out against your other glasses.
Yeah, the Brilliant Labs glasses are also coming in the next couple of weeks. So I have two pairs.
Did you order an R1, a Rabbit?
I didn't. Did you, Benito? Did anybody?
I didn't. I wanted one, though.
They're so cool.
So last night they had the unveiling.
Oh, I'm tempted.
The CEO did this, and it's it's a curiosity. It's cool. It already looks better than the whatchamacallit,
the Humane pin. Yeah.
Humane, yeah. So they had the video. There's an hour-long CEO talk. That's
and there are reviews now on The Verge and other places Look, I think Humane probably wasn't the right form factor and was depending on a laser projection technology that really was just a gimmick and it wasn't real. I think, though, that there is some, and these may also be kind of flops in the marketplace, but the R1, that limitless device I was talking about, they're from Rewind that I bought, and the brilliant glasses and the meta glasses, these are all, unlike the Vision Pro, I might add, real steps forward into a world where AI is always on, is always your partner. You have augmented reality. I think this is very exciting. The R1, whole point of the R1 is it does a lot of what a smartphone does, but it doesn't have apps. It contacts AI. So if you say, I need an Uber, it's an agent. I need an Uber, it will go out and book an Uber. Look, all of these are going to be...
But why? I'm sorry to...
Because you can just talk to it.
Here.
It's
easier. What makes that better than or easier than a smartphone?
So we had Mark on AI Inside. We had Mark Spoonhour on, and he was there at the TWA hotel. Which, by the way, did they ever send you any swag?
No, they never sent me any swag. I'm devastated because I would have really repped it.
Yeah. Anyway, he was there last night, and so he spoke about it, and he thinks that for young people, younger even than you, Paris, it might be a cool device to have, and you could leave your phone behind in some cases. I don't know if that's true social, but what he said, I'll be curious to see what you think about this with your mother, Leo, of a few years ago, that for old people, rather than having to go and open up the app and figure out this and that, if you can say to it, I want to go from here to Leo's house, pick me up in 10 minutes, it can do that, right? It starts to get you toward that agentic interface.
It is one step further from the actual nitty-gritty of it, and one step towards a natural interaction with an agent.
Yes.
And I do think we're going to get there. I don't know. These are early day devices.
Yeah.
But I do really think we're going to get there. And the other thing is, these are a tenth or less what the Apple glasses were. By the way, Vision, the latest rumors on the Vision Pro is that Apple has cut the order in half, the manufacturer order in half, that Apple stores are not seeing people come in for demos anymore, that they rarely sell more than one a week, that the interest in the Vision Pro, and it seems to be the case anecdotally as well, has just dropped off the face of the earth.
I sat next to a guy on the plane coming back from Austin who was using it the whole way, and it does look silly.
Yeah, you're pinching.
Did you talk to him?
No, I didn't. I, of course, wanted to take a picture of him, but then I don't know what he can see out of it.
He can see, unless he's watching a movie, in which he can't see.
When it came time to get the pretzels, he recognized the pretzels were coming, and he asked for the pretzels, so he knew that.
With it on?
Yes.
It's funny because I was sitting behind somebody on my flight back from Mom's, and he wore it at the beginning. I thought, oh, great, somebody's wearing it, I can have. And he took it off after about 15 minutes, and it never appeared again. So,
I'm shocked that neither of you guys leaned over and asked them about it. I absolutely would have, and I'm not.
I don't talk to people on airplanes.
I don't talk to people on airplanes either. But that's an easy in.
If he'd had a Rabbit R1, I would have asked him about it. If he'd had but I'm not interested in what his thoughts on the Vision Pro are. He's disqualified himself by buying one.
I agree. The Rabbit added a keyboard on the screen.
Interesting. That's not good.
But the screen is so tiny.
For me, the Rabbit's just designed by Teenage Engineering, who makes amazing stuff. So, I just wanted to hold it.
It's like that Panic game device. It's like those little mini pocket synthesizers. Look, we're going to have something like this, probably smaller than this. I think for old people too, Jeff, and I'm going to include myself in this, the idea of recording our entire life and then letting us ask, oh, did my son visit me yesterday? What was that? Tell me how that went and what did we talk about?
Right.
That's going to be very valuable. I really think I want this assistant as, illustrated in the movie Her. I want something in my ear or in my glasses or in my pocket that I can talk to, that remembers what happened, that I can lean on.
Without having to turn on the phone and do all that, I think it makes some sense. Either of these. And if I were a student in college now and I could turn it on and then have it give me the transcription and the summary of a lecture with just a hit of a button.
What if you could say to it, I would love this. Hey, could you cancel that subscription? I forgot I still had that. Oh, I just got to check. Could you cancel that for me? I want these agents to do stuff like that.
Yes.
Man, I would pay for it if it could cancel my subscription right now to Z5, India, and I think India's premier streaming service, which I subscribe to watch
for RRR
in the original language. I've got to set a reminder to cancel that after the show.
For those who don't know, on April 20th, a day that will live in infamy, just a day, Paris got together with 10 of her close friends. By the way, she has so many friends, she had to narrow the list down.
I would hate to be the 11th person.
Yeah,
please.
some people had to part ways.
And you had a wonderful time wandering around doing stuff, but you ended up at your apartment watching the is it Tugulu movie, the Indian movie RRR, which is a crazy movie. We showed a little bit of it and got taken down earlier.
Yeah, we got our TWiT YouTube live stream taken down by watching that and
Willie Nelson's new song about cowboys.
But highly recommend if you want a wild movie to watch with your friends and you haven't somehow already seen RRR, which apparently was incredibly popular all around the globe about 2 years ago. I'd really recommend it.
So here's an article from Mashable. Kimberly Gideon went to the launch party. A foot aching an hour and 12 minutes, she said, but these 9 features are sick. And I am kind of impressed. Okay, big deal. Travel case that acts as a kickstand. I agree, though, with you, Benito.
What?
The form factor's cool.
Yeah, it's the design of this.
Yeah.
It's really, that's the
it uses
part.
shaking gestures. To access the settings menu, you shake the rabbit like you've got maracas in your hand.
I saw him do it on the screen, and it was true. Yes.
It's not
Isn't
a touch
that just
screen.
how you undo stuff on
the iPhone? Yeah. It's not a touch screen. You'll need to use the scrolling wheel to navigate the UI. Look at this, though. It can digitize your handwriting.
It didn't just digitize it. So that's a somebody drew a spreadsheet, a chart, and he said, make this into a chart and switch this column and that column.
And it imported
and
it.
Did it.
And did it. And I don't know if this is Google Sheets or Excel, but that's...
And it emailed it to him, too.
That's amazing. This is using 4G. It now has a keyboard, which I don't think is a good idea.
How does that work if it doesn't have a touch screen?
No kidding.
Are you sure it doesn't have a touch screen?
I thought that's what they just said.
She said
you have to use this rolly wheel.
That's a good question. Huh. If you have to roll around for it, that'd be dumb. I don't know.
Play Spotify. I don't really care about that.
But the thing about that is that the Humane can't do Spotify.
Okay. It can order food, but it has to be DoorDash. Don't care. See, this is already, I'm seeing a little problem here.
Yeah,
you can get an Uber, not a Lyft. There's merch. Well, who cares?
Okay, is the merch cute though? That's my question.
Yeah,
I bet you it is. It's teenage engineering.
Teenage engineering.
Oh, it's a little that strap. Yeah, I like that strap.
Yeah, it's the messenger.
Okay, I do like that red bag. I could be into that.
Oh, there you go.
Is that a bag or is that the thing? That's it.
Oh, that's fun.
Yeah.
It can also be worn as a wearable.
They hinted at a
coming up to wearable. I'm going to wait on the rabbit. I think the rabbit's not quite what I want.
The other advantage, the reason Jason uses it is that he's got coming, but he also got included in the $199 is a year in Perplexity.
Yeah, well, I already paid for Perplexity, which is well worth it. In fact, I think I got a year of it, so that is a good deal. These are the glasses I should be getting. Well, they said April. We'll see. That have an OLED layer in the clear frame. It's using my lenses. So
you're definitely getting your prescription of that.
And I got my prescription.
Wow.
Leo, when you get them, you have to wear them for an entire show.
Yes.
I think that's our rule here.
I will.
And you got to use them.
I will.
Micah sacrificed his head for this. You have to.
Yeah, and I got for Micah the Meta glasses because I couldn't get my prescription. They have prescriptions, but mine is too extreme for the Meta glasses. So I just got clear ones.
Your eyes are too busted for
My eyes are too
Facebook.
busted for Meta. Anyway, I like this idea. I feel good about this. I think we're getting there. This is going to be an interesting use case.
Talked about the... Go ahead. Sorry.
No, please.
No, you go.
I'm just seeing more and more kind of people saying, it's not really, we're getting so close, but we may never get there. And this is going to be just another, disappointment with AI. And I agree. There's absolutely that risk. One of the problems is they've already ingested everything they can ingest. There is some thought the next ChatGPT 4, will be very impressive by all accounts, but it seems difficult to imagine how they can get any better by ingesting more content because it has ingested the entire world.
Sam has said the models get smaller now, and I think that's...
there's other things to work on, I guess.
Stochastic Parrots said a long time ago that there was no need for them to be this big. It was kind of macho.
By the way, speaking of Stochastic Parrots and Timnit Gebru, I've been thinking about her article that we talked about last week with eugenics, and her argument is it's like eugenics primarily because AI is going to hurt the disadvantaged. It's going to put people out of work. But there are a lot of...
also about them talking about creating the superhuman. This is about... That's why the transhumanism is putting things into the head to make better humans. Bostrom, who's
he just got defunded at Oxford.
His service ended at Oxford, then he quit, but he was done at Oxford. He has not fully disabused the notion that he thinks of a form of eugenics is fine.
So there's some people who support it, just as there are people who support eugenics in other areas. That is not necessarily a concomitant of AI, though. There are people who support it. Okay, those are terrible people. Those are terrible people.
Crazy guys.
But it's not necessary to say AI eugenics. And my point was, there are a lot of things that disadvantage poor people.
Well, they don't say AI eugenics. They say test-rail eugenics.
Okay, all right.
They're specific about that.
I don't like those test-rails. Okay.
Like effective altruism started with mosquito nets in Africa, but it's quickly went to, screw them. That's not going to make that much difference in the future. I know better uses for this money.
feel like, though, that Gebru especially doesn't really want more work on AI. That the impression I got was, by its very nature, research into AI is a form of eugenics, and that I disagree with.
No, I don't think. I mean, I know that's not what Emil Torres says. I don't think that they go that far.
Okay.
No.
Let's see.
But back before, you've talked about the Limitless, right?
Yes, I ordered it.
But what about? Have you seen the IYO One?
Oh dear.
This is another one. It's ridiculous. Look at the size of this thing in your ear. Linked on line 75.
Oh, IYO, not I.
IYO. I see as a Jersey person, I say,
hey, yo, say hello to your new computer. IYO One. So it's an earbud.
Oh, scroll down. You're not going to guess the size, Leo.
Yeah.
Oh, it looks like a gauge in your ear. It's giant.
It looks like a giant. It's big, almost as big as that person's ear.
It's like a head knob.
Yeah.
It's a knob
huge
for your head.
They say it's the first audio computer.
Well, it should be huge because it's got a lot of circuitry and battery in it. I don't mind that.
My question is, regular earbuds fall out of my ear with a frequency that frankly baffles me.
Yeah.
How would this giant
is custom molded.
They're going to staple it into your ear.
No, it's molded. It's like Leo's.
Okay, how are they getting a mold of my ear?
Because you're paying a fortune, because it costs $700 for the cheap one.
So does someone come and take a mold of my ear, or do I have to pour stuff in there myself? Because that sounds complicated.
Leo, how do you do it?
I go to an audiologist. I wear in-ear monitors that are molded to my ear. No one else can wear them because they fit my ear. You go to an audiologist, they put pink goo in your ear with a little string in it.
Does it sound weird when the goo goes in?
And the other thing is, you have to put some tongue depressors in your mouth to keep your mouth slightly open. So you're like this. And then you have to sit there for a few minutes. And then they come and they pull on the string and it goes... it pops out of your ear, and then they have a perfect
Does
mold.
all the wax you've ever accumulated
you should
also
clean
come
your
out
ears
with that?
before you do that
first.
I would clean your ears because otherwise, and anyway. And then you put it in a box, in my case, and you send it off to the JH Audio folks. That's where I get my in-ears from. And then they...
wow.
Yeah,
they make it.
Happens.
And by the way,
they
keep the molds. Yeah. Well, at first I thought, these will be soft. They're actually really hard plastic. So it takes a little getting used to really shove it in your ear. But once it's in, you could wear it all day because it doesn't feel like anything. It's just there.
But this is how my father's hearing aid was made.
Yeah, good hearing aids would be
Same
like
thing.
that. Yeah.
Yeah.
So
So the VAD Pro costs $1,650.
yeah, I'm gonna say at this point there are gonna be a lot of people jumping in. This is the one that molds to your ear, not the IYO. So I'm gonna say that I will wait because I think Humane taught us a lesson, didn't it?
Yes.
That there are a lot of people jumping
watched
on this bandwagon.
Marquez's video of the Humane, and I think it was incredibly fair and had the receipts and was right.
It was mostly, I think, the headline that bothered people because he said it was the worst tech product he'd ever reviewed.
That's how you make YouTube.
I was just going to say this is the downside to the YouTube culture is it really you promote sensationalism. You need to make those sensationalistic statements to garner views on YouTube. That's why I like TikTok. It's not about that. There is no headline. It's really measuring how long you stay before you go, I'm bored.
Yeah.
Scroll, I'm bored. And
Marquez said that he wanted the headline to be, it's either the worst technology ever made or I'm stupid.
Yeah, and he didn't choose that because?
I don't know.
Because he's not stupid.
Because he's not stupid.
Yeah.
Thank you, Benito. That's Benito Gonzalez, who is also not stupid. We're very lucky to have a very smart producer for this show. I think this is going to be just one of many, many, many bandwagon devices that I'm going to wait and see. I've already ordered 3 now, so
that's enough for now.
I'll just wait.
Well, so Leo, one more question here. And I was talking about this with Jason. I wonder what. So your interface with these things is going to be oral insofar as you speak to it. But what's the best return back? We see 3 chances here, right? One is glasses, where they're kind of like, oh, I can look at that.
That's what Brilliant's doing.
Or it's audio.
Yep.
Or it's audio.
That's what Meta's doing. Yep.
Here. Or it's a little screen, which is the Rabbit.
That's what R1's doing.
Or it's the Fakakta laser, which is.
That's all that Humane did wrong. But that was their primary product, was a laser projector in your
right. It was a shtick. But basically, is it ear or eye for the return back?
I don't know. I think it's probably both. There's no reason why glasses can't also have the Meta glasses have very good sound. The Brilliant, I don't know yet, but it's definitely got a heads-up display. I think a mix. Right. The nice thing about heads-up display is it can. Not these yet, but down the road, it can hover over the head of somebody you're talking to. If you're talking to somebody in translation, you can actually see a text translation. Is that better than an oral translation? Yeah, maybe.
Paris, are you tempted by any of these devices?
I'm curious with the Meta glasses. I mean, I guess I should have looked this up on my own. Like, could I be reading a text message right now while staring at you guys? Okay.
No more than you could with the
I'm
AirPods. Your AirPods did that also, where if a text message came in, it would go, boom, you've received a text message from
But
your mother.
it won't like show things on my screen as I'm looking at the world. My screen being my glasses.
That's a good question.
No, aren't the Meta glasses just audio?
Meta glasses are audio. The Brilliant glasses
The Meta glasses are just audio? Then why are they glasses?
Because they have cameras on them.
Camera.
Oh, I don't like that. No, then it doesn't interest me. I would be interested if I could keep up with my group chat while doing the dishes. Let's be honest, while doing this show. Let's be honest. Listen, I do that already because I'm seated at my computer. You can't mix technology and water. So frankly, a lot of my interest in AR products is around doing the dishes.
So
if I could multitask more effectively,
I agree with you. I listen to books.
Getting things wet, I think that would be great.
Yeah, no, I listen to books while I'm So you get a OpenAI powered. This is the Brilliant glasses. And they look just as dorky as that. Visual analysis of the world around you, powered by OpenAI. So just like the Meta glasses, they have a camera, which then can give you feedback. I like this. This is Whisper, which is OpenAI's translation and transcription tool. Translate what you see and hear. It doesn't say anything about notifications. Search the live web for what you see. That's Perplexity. So that's what Meta is also starting to do.
Do you have to have subscriptions to all these services, OpenAI and Perplexity?
Probably, but I already do. So, Hack and Modify. It is open, which I like. I guess that means they have an API. So anyway, this company made a monocle, which I was
okay. The monocle is really something.
Isn't that funny?
You got to pull up the monocle.
I also like the charging device, which is called Mr. Power.
It should have a mustache.
It should have a little mustache.
It really should. Yeah, that's probably an add-on.
It's an orange nose piece.
So it does have an app that you put on your iPhone or Pixel phone. So I think that this will be very interesting. I don't see any reason why it couldn't do notifications at some point. I'll let you know. I ordered it some months ago, and supposedly it's coming. The monocle's been out for a year or two.
I love the aesthetics of the monocle. It's really chaotic looking.
You have to put it in your eye. I don't... Like you have to... Oh, you clip it on your glasses.
You clip it on your glasses, yeah.
Yeah, I was really... I came... Did Anthony Nielsen buy the monocle? I can't remember. I was somewhat tempted, but I think I'm actually very happy with this new form factor. I think the glasses will be interesting.
That was a cute experiment. Sorry.
My only question for this kind of tech is like, how much of this data is it keeping? Where's it going?
I don't care.
Who's holding on to it?
In order to be in the future,
young people.
In order to join the future, you've got to give up some things.
But not all the things.
I give
Maybe
it all
some
up.
things.
Leo gave it all up years ago.
Yeah, I did it just to be, a podcaster and a broadcaster. But I'm not, it's so funny because I do know people who have been very good at keeping their boundaries around. We were talking about the other day about Steve Martin, who in the documentary, his daughter is a cartoon because he doesn't want to extend his notoriety to his family that haven't signed up for it. Now, I never did that. My kids were on camera when they were little. I was just blah. And I've always been that way because I just feel like that's just who I am. Is just I got nothing to hide, and maybe there'll be a consequence. I don't think so, but I got nothing to hide. But now at my age, I'm 67. I want to rush this along as fast as possible. I don't have unlimited time like you, Benito. This stuff has to happen in the next 20 years. So I'm giving them anything they want, and I would encourage you to do the same. Because I only have 20 years, so hurry up, okay? And so all of these are early days experiments. These are the Atari 400s of the AI revolution. These are very, very early experiments, as is the Apple Vision Pro. So that's the way to look at it. And yeah, so what if they get everything I ever did? What are they going to do with it?
My life's an open blog. I talked to students at UCLA today, and somebody asked me about that, how public to be, and I said, it's got to be your choice. I'm an old white man with tenure.
Nothing to lose.
Right? You're right, I got nothing to lose at this point. But there is benefit in sharing. There's a generosity in sharing.
Absolutely.
And Benito, you're right. Do you want to share directly yourself, or is it through the company, or what do they have? But at some point, you have to look at what's the actual harm.
That's my attitude. And I also agree with you, Jeff, and I say this to you, Benito. It's your choice.
I am an ethnic minority, though.
Yes.
So, like, that's...
you're the first up against the wall when the revolution happens, so yeah.
Jesus Christ, Leo.
If I were you, I would hide everything. No, I completely understand that. As older white men, we got nothing to lose.
We're obnoxious already.
We're already top of the food chain. Maybe not much longer, actually. We'll see.
Yeah.
And you know what? Point. If not, I wouldn't be surprised. Let's take a break. When we come back, I promised it, the man who ruined Google's search.
We're going to get to Google eventually, folks.
We will get to Google. This is
Google news this week.
This Week in Giggles with Jeff Jarvis, Paris Martineau. I'm Leo Laporte. All right. This was a great piece. I thought, and I'd love to run it by you to see what you think.
I would say Ed says he's willing to come on and talk about this anytime.
Do you know Ed?
Yeah, we have.
Yes, Ed was my guest on the show when you were gone.
We're talking about Ed Zitron, who wrote this.
Yes.
I should have called him for today.
I asked him before after Twig if he would come on Twit, and he's like, yeah, sure. So
okay,
I'll get him on.
We'll get him on maybe next week.
Yeah, he wasn't available today.
Oh.
Around.
Great.
Yeah.
He's an outspoken fellow, Ed. I think most of the audience loved him. There were a few dissenters.
The Ed episode generated more comments on the Discord episode, Discord and TWiT.community than I've ever
community.
seen.
Yeah. Hey, don't lurk on TWiT.community. Sign in, and you can participate.
Yeah. Discuss.
But I liked what he wrote, and I think it kind of resonates with me because I feel like this is what's going on. So, Ed, and did he talk about this on the show before? I mean, am I rehashing something he talked about when I wasn't here?
No, I don't think so.
No, this is a new blog. This came out this week.
So it starts by talking about let me see if I can find it now. I can't for some reason find it. Did I not put it in the?
I put it in too. You put it in because
It's where's your ed.at.
The man
933
who killed Google search.
Well, there it is, 33, right.
Yeah. Where's your ed at is his blog. So he talks about Ben Gomez, who was Google's head of search. Gomes, okay, from the very earliest time and much beloved. One of the battles Gomes had to fight continually is the pressure from the sales side to modify Google search to improve revenue. Okay, this is really important. The story begins, Ed writes, on February 2019 when Ben Gomes, Google's head of search, had a problem. Jerry Dishler, then the VP and general manager of ads at Google, and Shiv Venkataraman, then the VP of engineering, search, and ads on Google properties, called a code yellow for search revenue due to, and I quote, says Ed, steady weakness in the daily numbers and a likelihood that ad revenue would end the quarter significantly behind. Now, the code yellow was as bad as it gets. That's DEFCON 1 at Google in Google terms. And their concern was several advertiser-specific and sector weaknesses existed in search. I believe, if I'm synopsizing this correctly, wanted search to change so that they would make more money. Larry Page, very early on.
They had also noted, I believe, in there that part of why search wasn't making as much money is because people, like the amount of searches people were doing wasn't growing at the rate they expected. Right. Like people were finding what they were looking for too quickly and then going to whatever they were clicking.
Which was the original mission of Google.
Yes.
They always said, we're going to get you out of Google as soon as possible.
Yeah.
They discussed how the search team wasn't able to finally optimize engagement on Google without, quote, hacking engagement, a term that means effectively tricking users into spending more time on the site, and they were reluctant to do that. Understandably, Larry Page early on in the history of Google wrote in the very first PageRank paper said that no search engine could survive if it sold advertising. It would corrupt the search. So there was always a strong wall between search and advertising.
There's a little perspective there, which is that Bill Gross had done. I'm forgetting what the brand was, but it became Yahoo, where he was explicitly selling search position, and so they were reacting to that in part. It wasn't just association.
In February 6, 2019, Gomes said he believed search was, quote, getting too close to the money. In other words, that wall was dissolving, and said he was concerned that growth is all that Google was thinking about. This is 2019. This is 5 years ago. Now, fast forward a few years, and is out. A little over a year after this, in 2020, Google would make Prabhakar Raghavan the head of Google Search. He came from Yahoo, where he basically ran it into the ground by selling links.
Money.
After nearly 20 years of building Google Search, Gomes would be relegated to SVP of Education at Google. In other words, pushed out. And he has been, it says, he was chased out, Ed writes, by a growth-hungry managerial types led by Prabhakar Raghavan, a management consultant wearing an engineer costume. Now, remember, Sundar Pichai is McKinsey, so he is also a management consultant. Right.
We forget that.
Yeah.
And I think Ed notes also in the piece, he's using management consultant here as just a pejorative.
It's the worst thing you can be. Yeah.
You know.
And I think we all agree that he's right.
Yeah.
Right? Yeah.
As McKinsey's under investigation today for what they did with opioids. Yep.
Yeah. A quick note, Ed writes, I used management consultant there as a pejorative. While he exhibits all the same bean-counting, morally unguided behaviors of a management consultant, from what I can tell, Raghavan never actually worked in that particular sector.
This is Ed.
He's a bean.
Yeah.
Ben Gomes, he says, is a hero. He was instrumental in making search work.
Mm-hmm.
He says that, well, I'll tell you who the man who killed Google search is. It's Raghavan. And he said Raghavan essentially dissolved that wall between search and ad revenue, and search did, in fact, and I think anybody who uses Google knows this, search, in fact, was degraded to improve revenue.
Mm-hmm.
Right?
And it was also manipulated more by bad forces, and they didn't do it. Then Matt Cutts isn't there anymore. They didn't do enough to fight back against the manipulation of search.
Yeah. Raghavan was head of search at Yahoo from 2005 through 2012, a tumultuous period that cemented its terminal decline.
Love Ed.
When Raghavan joined the company, Yahoo had a 30.4% market share. This is at a time when Google had 36%, so it was in the game. By the end of his tenure, Yahoo was down to 13%, and it shrunk for 9 consecutive months and was even being beaten by Bing.
Oh, the indignity.
Oh, the indignity. The man who deposed Ben Gomes, writes Ed Zitron, someone who worked on Google search from the very beginning, was so shit at his job that in 2009, Yahoo effectively threw in the towel on its own search technology and just licensed Bing's engine in a 10-year deal, which he says is likely precipitated the overall decline of Yahoo, which went from a $125 billion company to a $4.8 billion company in a matter of 10 years. I do not disagree. In an interview with Dan Farber, my good friend, in 2005 at ZDNet, Raghavan spoke of his intent to, quote, align the commercial incentives of a billion content providers with social good intent. I think it's pretty clear that Raghavan did exactly what he wanted to do, and it's exactly what Gomes did not want.
Something I thought was interesting is this piece by Ed really took off. Went big on, Reddit,
Rightly
various
so.
social media
Yeah.
places. On Hacker News also, I always really like to look out for the comments on Hacker News because they're sometimes quite interesting. And the top comment on this piece, I mean, this person obviously could be making all this up, but it seems like
he was a Google engineer.
Say,
yeah.
They say ex-Google search engineer here from 2019 to 2023. I know a lot of the veteran engineers were upset when Ben Gomes got shunted off. Probably the bigger change from what I've heard was losing Amit Singh Hall, who led search until 2016. Amit fought against creeping complexity. There's a semi-famous internal document he wrote where he argued against the other search leads that Google should have use less machine learning, or at least contain it as much as possible so that the ranking stays debuggable and understandable by human search engineers.
Oh, that's interesting.
The person continues, my impression is that since he left, complexity exploded, with every team launching as many deep learning projects as it can, just like every large tech company has. And the guy goes into more detail about how, obviously the older systems have obvious problems, but the newer systems have hidden bugs and conceptual issues that often don't show up in the metrics and compound over time as more complexity is layered on, which I thought was kind of a really interesting take on this as well, is this problem compounds itself, especially once you get, the money men in there too.
There's another piece that's oddly kind of related this week, which says that Search Engine Journal quotes, I think, Gary Iles, says that basically links aren't important to Google anymore. So the essence of PageRank,
which was links, right?
Which was all links. But the thing, after 2016, the election, and I ended up talking to Google search quality people just out of friendly. What do we do? What they made clear is that all signals degrade. Because I was talking about signals of quality and signals of this. They said, yeah. But every signal gets manipulated and it degrades.
Yeah,
so
that's
links,
what our friend Matt Cutts was in a constant war with.
Right? Exactly.
Yes.
So that even links, so that, I think it's not as if, Google was fine and they screw it up. Google was in a constant war with bad forces, and the bad forces started winning. Now, bad forces in this case is defined as two things, I think. One is spammers, and the other one is internal ad salespeople.
And when did they change their motto?
Don't be evil. That was 4 or 5 years ago. They dropped that.
That all kind of lines up.
Yeah.
Oh,
and of course, today's story from CNBC: Google search boss one Prabhakar Raghavan warned employees to prepare for a different market reality. Things are not like they were 15 to 20 years ago. This was from an all-hands meeting.
Did he say that things are about to get really weird?
Yeah, no, it was not Raghavan. It wasn't Raghavan. This was an all-hands meeting that CNBC got a recording of. He said he's shortening the amount of time his reports have to work on certain projects. He was wearing a hoodie with the words "We use math" on the front. By the way, Stephen Levy said that even though Sundar Pichai is the CEO, that Raghavan is who runs Google. That's an interesting point. Raghavan reports to Sundar Pichai, but he leads search, ads, map, and commerce. So, yeah, he's Google, right?
Most of it, yeah.
It's most of Google. He said Google's digital ad business had become the envy of the world. Over the last 3 years, annual revenue had grown by more than $100 billion. So, see, from Raghavan's point of view, he's a great success. This is what he was put in to do. The problem is, from users' point of view, as a user of Google, I think, I can say this, it's crapified Google's search results.
He's the chief enshittifier.
He's an enshittifier.
Like the best one.
Yeah.
Very good at it. $100 billion over 3 years. But the problem with that is users leave. I just read a tweet from Christina Warren, my good friend, who said, yeah, I'm going to pay for Kagi search, which I've been kind of promoting for a long time. You have to pay for this, but there's no ads. So to me, it's worth it. And by the way, their search results are very good. Stephen Wolfram is on the board. It was bootstrapped by the founder, Vladimir Prelovac, in the first few years, and then they raised money from members in an external fundraise. I love Kagi Search. I know Christina does too, because it's just as good as Google Search used to be without the ads. So maybe we have to pay for search. Maybe that's the key, right? Although I paid for Neva and it wasn't enough, was it?
Yeah, I mean, I feel like that's the question here. It's part of the problem is that Google it's entrenched at this point.
Right.
People call
is
search
it ever
Googling
going to
already,
get?
Right.
Like we're at
I
that
mean,
point.
yeah. Is it ever going to get to the point where it's as unpleasant of a product experience to where the
that's a good
average
question.
Joe
Yeah.
decides to look for alternatives?
Well, aren't
it
young
seems
people's-
unlikely.
Jarvis, aren't young people searching on TikTok? Is that what
They
you
Yeah.
are. They
I mean, I
absolutely
do
are.
think that's also part of it is that
That's all over.
probably the biggest threat to something like Google is just a dramatic change in consumer habits. It seems like the average young person, I mean, I don't know. When I was at a high school a couple of weeks ago for a career day, me and the other person in the journalism room were asking people how they get their news, and everyone kind of looked at us quizzically. And eventually kind of the answer was TikTok, but it seems like people of that age
news?
aren't searching stuff at all.
Well, so from my experience in bridal, yes, I said that. When I was a
You
Condé
make a
Nast,
beautiful bride.
I would, wouldn't I?
Was it Bride
You've already
magazine
got the
or
white
it was
going,
Bridal
yeah.
magazine?
It was Brides, Modern Bride, and Elegant Bride. And,
Wait a
and
minute. Why did you need three different? Is an elegant bride different from a modern bride?
ergo, the point of the story.
Yes.
So the new houses thought they had wrapped up bridal. We owned all three bridal brands. That's it. We own brides. That's it. That's over. And then one day we and I was to start the bridal site and make it as cheap as possible, which I did. And fine, done. Okay, we got brides.
The master of the bridal bundle.
That's the bingo. And I quite enjoyed having to say, I got to go to a bridal meeting. And so one day we just kind of looked up and said, oh, hell, what's that? The knot. And it was, because it was, in the bridal especially, it's, the New Yorker, the readers stay around forever. In bridal, they flush out every 18 months, and you hope for their sake they never come back. Right?
Yeah.
So if you see a new audience coming in, yeah, fine. You and I are the age, Leo, where we're still going to Google because we did that the whole life online. But to get young people to change their habits is not that hard.
Yeah. The knot, by the way, failed also and is now just a wedding planner. Yeah.
Yeah, now it's Zola.
Oh, is that the place you youngs go to plan your nuptials?
Zola. There's also something else.
How many weddings a year do you have to go to, Paris?
I'm only I'm only at 1 or 2 a year right now, but I know it's about to get crazy.
You know what's funny? It's so interesting because as you are starting to go to more and more weddings, Jeff and I are starting to go to more and more funerals.
More funerals. That's really fun for you guys.
And I'm in the middle, and all of my friends are getting divorced.
Oh, yeah. So there's something to look forward to.
Benito, you should get on that. It could be a good business idea.
Life
you could
passages.
make the knot, but for divorces.
Oh.
No, the untie.
The unknot. The
Yeah,
untie.
the untie. Yeah. The cleave.
Meanwhile, you have Scott Galloway talking about how young people need to be taught in college how to bait. Honest to God.
Oh, no. No, that's all they're doing in college.
Creepy.
Already.
Incredibly
They need
creepy.
to learn how to do their taxes in college. That's what they need.
Here is, by the way,
Frankly, yeah.
and you can see it's just not as elegant of a site, divorcemag.com.
Building tolerance for uncertainty during divorce is the...
This is the #1 divorce blog on the internet since 2016.
The top thing says, are stock options considered assets during to be divided during divorce?
God, even the design of the site is super sad.
It's sad.
It really is
It's
quite
the saddest
sad.
site ever.
Oh, man.
Oh,
Boy.
6 tips for a great single mom Easter.
Accept help to speed up your court process.
Reasons
How to survive the divorce
Reasons you should go
process.
back to work after divorce.
Oh.
How to survive the divorce process with a narcissist.
Oh. Wow, I should read that. All right. Anyway, now we're depressed. Actually, I'll send
Thanks,
Lisa
Benito.
that
Your
article. Let's see. Do we want to do more? I'll tell you what. We're at the end of our 2 hours, our proscribed time, but I will let you've put so many wonderful links in here.
Hey guys, we'll take a trip to line 104.
104 is waiting for you.
You know what could be the solution to all those scary Boston Dynamic robots?
What?
Hair.
Furry
Make robots
robots.
hairy is what Eve Pizer wrote this last week in The Verge. As she sums up, more hair equals less scare.
Here's a furry
good
robot.
point.
Yeah. It just looks like it's decaying, to be honest.
I don't like that actually at all.
It doesn't look more friendly.
It looks like it holds infections.
Yeah. An infectious robot, the Furby. All right. That was your pick.
That was my pick. It took up a whole 45 seconds, and I think we're all
we
better for
could
it.
do a little news with Meta's results were out.
And how did they
yeah.
do?
They did okay, but their shares still plummeted because they disappointed.
Isn't that funny? Because Tesla, who reported great losses, shares went up 12%.
Yeah.
Well, Elon Musk said that Tesla should be thought of as an AI or robotics company. So they were
that
looking
does
at
it.
That does it.
Oh. I am glad to see that Ghost, the very popular blogging platform that actually I've been thinking about adopting, is now using ActivityPub, which I think is great.
Ghost is a newsletter platform.
Well, they say newsletter, but it's really a blog /
Well,
newsletter.
but when people leave Substack, they
But
go
I
to
mean, a
Ghost.
lot of people use it for websites like 404 Media runs on Ghost.
Yeah, Ghost.
really?
Ghost was started. In fact, I kicked it on the Kickstarter. It was started as a blogging platform. And I think that just the difference is that over time they've pivoted to
smartly.
Yeah, to newsletters as well as blog, because really it's just another way of delivering your blog.
Hey,
yeah.
A little fun fact here: 404 Media's website, which runs on Ghost, was designed by great designer Aaron Shapiro, who is the friend of mine who so wisely called this the podcast I co-host with my dad. So
well, and Jason Kobler from 404 has been on. It's actually 404 is to me the closest thing to what TWiT was, which was people who were in mainstream media who kind of left. Did they all work for BuzzFeed? Who did they all work for?
They all worked for Motherboard.
Motherboard, that's right. And Motherboard just kind of went down the tubes. So they just said, no, we're going to start our own thing. And so I absolutely support them. And that's why we had Jason on, and I'll plan to have others on from there. It isn't the best looking website ever. It's modern, I guess, right?
It's attitude.
Yeah.
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 I mean, it's dark mode, which I hate, of course.
You can turn off the dark mode. Click on the little sun.
Oh, well, I wouldn't know.
Good day, sunshine. Ba-da-ba-dum.
So much better.
Really?
Oh, wait. You can play Doom on the website, too. How do you do that?
What?
Now, just Google.
I like your friend.
Google 404 Media Doom, and it's like the third response. Or I guess it's 404media.co/Doom. That's what it is.
Well, that would be easy.
That would be easy. He spent a lot of time coding Doom in there.
I got a little extra budget. I didn't really have to put much work into the actual design, so let me build Doom into it. That's impressive. Is it JavaScript Doom?
I mean, it's a great
yeah, it
question.
is. JS does.
Yeah.
Wow. Okay, 404 Media, you win.
You can win at Doom.
Jeff, one last story. Anything important?
Oh, let's see here. I'm thinking that we should warn our audience about beware the fake podcast invitation scam.
Have you guys gotten this? Because I got one of the ones they're referencing in this. Yeah, the one that the invitation to speak on a podcast hosted by a member of the Barron's Online community.
Wow. This is from our friend Alex Kantrowitz, the big technology podcast and website. Legit-looking invites can turn into a nightmare as scammers steal would-be podcast guests' online accounts during the tech setup. Holy cow, do not fall for this. Do not fall for this.
If Benito comes calling, watch out.
I love that he reached out to ask Alex Stamos about it, and he goes, "That's nuts. I haven't heard of this one. Podcasts, is nothing sacred?" I agree, Alex Stamos.
I love
this
Alex.
is the final frontier.
Alex.
So, is this the one that Johnny Jett got scammed by?
Sounds like it, yeah.
That's what happened. Johnny Jett fell for this. Poor guy lost his entire social and bank accounts and everything on this. 2 weeks ago, Alex writes, a podcast with, quote, a top 1% audience whose listener net worth averaged $2.5 million. See, as soon as I read that, I go, yeah, that's a scam. Asked me to join as a guest. The host was familiar with your work, citing a recent CNBC appearance, and seemed ready to hold an engaging conversation. It seemed worthwhile, except the podcast was fake. With a bit of research, I found no evidence the host had ever spoken on a podcast, let alone hosted one. On YouTube, he had a channel with one video and one subscriber. And when I asked for a link to his show, he uninvited me. So maybe that's the thing to do, is say, yeah, let me know more about your show. Where can I hear it? What a scam. What a scam. That's terrible.
Yeah, I got this one that came
shocked
after
that
me.
these people have so much time. But like when respectable outlets ask me to go on, I look at my schedule and I'm like, I don't know if I have time to do all the prep calls and the after calls and the blah, blah, blah.
I hate prep calls.
They use fake podcast sets to hawk products, mobile game sites that juice download counts. Oh, iHeart did that. Preying on potential podcast guests to steal their online credentials. Wow. I bet you that's what happened to Johnny Jett. He had a terrible tale of woe.
Wow.
That's
all right. Be warned, people.
Yeah. Yeah. All right.
If it's not Benito, don't do it.
Yeah, if Benito
yes,
calls...
Listen to me, though. Please reply to me.
Yeah, reply to Benito only.
And send her
If
all
Benito
of
says,
your social logins.
so go.
Even if I ask for your social security number, you need to give it to me.
He needs it. He really needs it.
And we don't charge you to be on the podcast, but we do like to ask for a deposit. So we will need a credit card.
Yeah.
Just in case you trash the room.
Actually, a debit card specifically.
Oh, a debit card.
So that you
Very
can't,
nice.
get that back.
Very, very
You can't do a
nice.
charge back.
Yeah. Let's take a little pause that refreshes, and we will be back with your picks of the week. You are watching This Week in Google. No changelog this week. But if you really hanker for one, just go look at what Maps is doing. There's all sorts of new stuff in Google Maps.
Yeah, I hear you can turn left and right now. It's crazy.
That's incredible. All right, let's kick things off with Paris Martineau's Thing of the Week.
All right, I was going to talk about this cool little web game.
You stole my
Equinox.space. That was not... Okay, listen, you can talk about it then because I've got a different pick. Good.
You stole
Take your pick back.
My pick. It's a fun
Take
little
your
thing.
pick back.
You know what the problem is? Paris and I are now both reading the same sources. Hacker News, Pinboards,
I did see it on there, and I was like, oh, this is Leo bait. I'm going to talk about this in the show. But no, you can talk about it because I forgot we were talking about before, but it reminded me of my true pick, which is called Boy Room.
Boy Room? What's Boy Room?
I'll read the opening to a New York Times piece about Boy Room first. In her new video series, comedian Rachel Coster explores some of the foulest, most unsightly corners of New York City. No, not the grimy sidewalks of Times Square or the platforms of especially smelly subway stations. Miss Coster trains her critical eye on the squalid apartments of male 20-somethings. It's a TikTok series that has been coming across my thing. This is where she goes into the apartment of a man who just identifies himself as middle part, which is spray painted on his wall. And it is actually it is a full tour of these boys' rooms, and they are
what a brilliant,
they are grim.
What a brilliant TikTok. See, this
May I note that there's bell hooks on his nightstand. There's also just a bunch of random sodas, and I think that's a Slim Jim that he ate through the wrapper.
And Old Spam. Yeah.
Oh,
it's incredible. I really implore you to go.
I can't believe she's sitting in there. No, on that bed.
There's also towards the end, she says they had to bring in special lights to light the room because it is so dark in this room with the overhead lights on that they could not film. He does have Narcan, which I guess is good.
Always good. Always good to have some around. Yep.
And then at the end, she offers recommendations on how to fix all of the rooms. So I don't know. This has really been... I don't know. It's been nice to see.
She says, I almost gagged on the smell of cigarettes when I walked in. Wow, this is great. He has a rat's tail.
Levi, 24 in Ridgewood.
Oh, it's his own rat tail.
His own rat tail.
It's an old rat
tail. He
tail.
also has jorts. He has a bunch of pants tables.
Wow.
Oh, ladies, snap these guys up.
Wow.
Yeah, so it's really quite interesting.
I think this is such a brilliant idea for a TikTok. And this is why I love TikTok.
They're also on Instagram if TikTok goes down.
And I think they're smart. Yeah. Only 112,000 followers, but I think you're going to make the difference. By the way, I just lost my Doom game on 404 Media, so I'm going to have to start a new
R.I.P.
one here. Yeah, sad. Knee Deep in the Dead, The Shores of Hell, Inferno, your choice. The shareware version. Oh, he didn't bother putting the full paid version on there. Wow. Isn't that cute? That's so cool.
It's really quite cute.
Love it. All
right, now talk about Equinox.space.
Well, it's just a silly thing. Did you play it? Did you finish it?
I didn't finish it. I only played a little bit, and then I couldn't find the first thing you're supposed to find, that access code.
I found it.
Because I'm an idiot.
Yeah.
Where is it?
You'll find it. It's the idea. This is actually kind of a cool idea.
It's really cool.
It's all in JavaScript or maybe WebAssembly. It's really a show off for this company that does this kind of thing. Oops, let's see.
It's a browser-based, like point-and-click
Adventure
style game.
Yeah, and it's fun.
Where you wake up on a spaceship that's been caught in some asteroids while you're passed out, everybody else evacuated, and you're being guided by the AI voice assistant to try and
you can turn on the sound, Benita.
Our ship was hit by an asteroid on our way to planet Australis. All other passengers were able to evacuate while you were unconscious. As the onboard AI assistant, I'm in charge of getting this ship.
I guess I can't do anything yet.
And keeping you alive.
I have to listen to the exposition.
I'm going to need your help. Start by getting out of your room. I'll follow up with more instructions.
All right, show me where the access card is.
Get this ship home in one piece.
I don't think that one opens. I was playing this before.
But we won't last long before a fatal collision happens. I need you to find a way to access the ship's cockpit and get us out of here.
Here is the hub, where we all hang out and look at a projected universe. But I have no time to do this because the asteroids are coming. Let's look in the cafe. Well, there's stuff here. Just wander around and go to all the different places that you can go. This way is restricted, so we can't get in here unless we can find this ID. So he's going to tell me.
This door is protected by an authentication mechanism. I'm not allowed to override security clearances, so you'll need an access.
You're just a simple AI.
Take a look around and see if you can find it.
I do like the overall design of this game.
Isn't it pretty?
Yeah.
It's really cute.
It's a fairly simple game. It's not the most complicated game in the world. It took me about 15 minutes to end it. But, it's fun. And the idea is it's free and it's online, Equinox.space. There is, I can't remember where I found.
Yeah, it's kind of hard to find
There
the
it
access.
is.
Oh, there it is.
Yeah.
Gosh darn it.
So, and then now we go to the hub again. We go back because we're trying to get to the...
If the AI were so smart, wouldn't it know where it is and tell you?
It did, in fact. It gave me a hint. It said, well, the last time the access code was used, so now we have to get aboard.
Now listen up. This ship is equipped with an emergency warp system that should allow us to instantly get away from
Oh,
the
good. We can use the emergency warp
That's
system.
great.
the destination coordinates.
Deus ex machina.
Yeah, it's very much like Deus Ex, kind of.
So you'll have to
No, I'm making a joke about.
Oh,
got one shot at this.
but there is actually a game called Deus Ex, believe it or not. So I'll take a seat, but the engine won't
Now you
work.
need to activate the warp.
So there's a few steps. I don't want to spoil the game for anybody, but there's a few things you have to do. There's a puzzle you have to solve, and it's fun. I really enjoy it. Notice the wormhole sensor, quantum calibrator, and orbital mapper are all off.
That's great.
I think if we turn those on, there's the orbital mapper. Here's the
Oh, I love pulling the
wormhole
lever.
sensor, but where is the other doohickey? I can't
Is it
remember.
that red? It's over there to your left, I think, right?
This
That
thing?
flashing red light? Yeah. Up
Yep,
there.
you're right.
Cautiously press button.
Now, let's launch the warp and get the hell out of here because we got to... Oh, whew. We made it. Good job. We're safe and sound.
it?
Yeah, we did it.
Yep,
Game
we did
over.
it. Yep.
That's the whole game?
Well,
Yep,
yeah, I think
super
so.
fun.
I think it is the whole
I mean,
game.
what else could happen?
Oh, no.
no.
Anyway, you have to wander around.
You hate to see it.
It's a fun little game. It's fun that you found it too. Now that you know where the access card is, you can probably figure out the rest.
Listen, that really... I swear I searched that room, too.
I love you in the hat. That hat
Thank you.
is awesome. I want that hat.
I'll post the
only you
link
were a
from
pigeon.
Etsy. I got a,
We got
it came
some
with the
cat
bolo tie
costumes,
included.
actually, for our own cats.
Oh.
Some of them worked better than others. Our cats don't really like...
Does Paris like wearing costumes?
No, neither cat did. Although I'll find you a picture because there's some very, the thing about pictures of cats on Instagram or anywhere is when you put costumes on them, you take a quick picture very, very quickly because it's not going to last. I don't see if I can find. The problem is I have so many cat pictures to wade through that it's going to take me a while to find the costume cats. Well, there's one. This one didn't work out too well. As you can see, she's struggling. She doesn't really want to be Santa Claus. That year was not a good year for Santa Claus. There are some cute ones. Lisa has the best pictures on her phone. Let me see if I can find. There's way too many.
I love how many cat pictures.
So many.
If you're only in 20, do you remember what year it is? That's normally
and I
what
think
I
I've
do.
gone too far back now. These are kittens.
Oh, look at the baby.
Yeah, she's your kitten.
How many photos of cats do you think I have on my phone? I bet it's like 1,000.
You have 1,000. Yeah, you sure do. I'm sure you do. I've missed the good. Maybe cats in hats. Do you think it'll actually? How smart is Google's photos?
I have 2,204 photos of cats.
Jeez.
I probably do too.
I don't know if it'll focus.
Okay, so I did search for cats in hats, and this is what it came up with. There's the cat.
I mean, that is a cat and a hat. So point to Google.
Jeff Jarvis, your pick or number of the week, my friend.
I'll brag a little bit here. So I read a Times story for Things to Do in Toronto, and they did a feature on Issues, which is a magazine store. You can't find magazine stores anymore. They're gone. They're all gone. But there was a store for magazines in Toronto, and they said that they were inspired by the store in London called magCulture. And so I sent them both letters saying, "Wouldn't you like to carry a book about magazines that looks like a magazine?"
Yeah.
So Toronto shrugged at me, but magCulture in London, God bless them, did it. And they sent me a picture this morning.
There's your
my book about magazines as a magazine on the shelf.
Bloomsbury, right
That made me
between
very
Alex
happy.
Brodovich, Astonish Me, and Photography in the American Magazine. You know what? I think that's the perfect place for your books.
It is.
I think it really is. You could even fit more stacked on top of it.
You could have a second.
Like height-wise, yeah.
Yes, I think so. So I used that to try to shame the Toronto store into carrying it. We'll see what
And how
happens.
did that
Did you
work?
tweet at them?
I don't know. I just mailed them a copy today. And I said, it's little. Look how little it is.
By the way, you can order a magazine from their website, magculture.com.
Yes, you can.
Which might be a good way of rewarding them.
That's true, too. Yes. And my London TWiT friends, please
Go to Bloomsbury.
MagCulture.
Take a
Does it
trip.
say the address there? Well, go to, where is it? Where's the address there? MagCulture, London.
They have a podcast as well. Wow.
Oh, yeah, they do all kinds of things. Very nice guy. 270 St. John Street.
There it is. 270 St. John's. MagCulture. Wow, that's cool.
And tie really well in with the show.
It's in Clerkenwell.
Because, you know how Jeff earlier was talking about how he didn't sign a non-disparagement agreement? That's an anecdote in the beginning of
That's
magazine.
right. That's why it's in there. Yes, God bless you, parents.
Oh, really?
God bless you.
Oh.
Yeah. Have you not read Jeff's book,
Not
Leo?
yet,
If
no.
you did, you'd
No,
know that.
No, he hasn't.
This is for real Jeff fans only.
Everybody knows no one buys books anymore, and I wish somebody would just tell Jeff that.
They can't stop him.
So
Man's gotta
that's
keep
a
writing.
fascinating roundup here. L. Griffin went through, I guess, the entire transcript of the Penguin Random House attempt to buy Simon & Schuster trial.
Yeah.
Was published, and she went through it all to get lots of fascinating details about publishing. It was all in the trial, but it was really kind of interesting. And everybody gets so surprised. I happened to have lunch with the former president of that company last week. And, they say that a book can get on the New York Times bestseller list with 4,000 copies. If they're sold in just the right way, fast enough, you can get there.
Yeah.
But only in 2020, only 268 titles sold more than 100,000 copies. And
Wow.
96% of books sold less than 1,000 copies.
My first book sold 55,000 copies and was a bestseller that year for Pearson. Hank's book, he's being published by Simon & Schuster, and it is all just pre-order, is already a bestseller, has far exceeded their... In fact, the Simon & Schuster, his editor said it's the best launch we've ever seen. So the hope is that we can get on the New York Times bestseller list in October when it actually comes out. He got a pretty good advance, a little bit north of that. So he's got a little to make up, but yeah, thank you, TikTok. And I read books nonstop. Well, I listen.
Yeah.
Does listening count?
Yeah.
Yes. Oh, yes, it does. Absolutely, it does.
And I read quite a few books on an e-reader. I just ordered the new, and I'll bring it in for review. It should come in the next week or so. The new Kobo Libra 2. I mentioned this.
Is this different than the book you talked about, the e-reader you talked about buying last week, or is this?
No, this is the one. It's a color.
Okay.
It's e-color. So as soon as it comes in, and it's waterproof.
Isn't that just a tablet, a waterproof tablet?
Hey, knock it off. Is this the one?
sorry.
Is this the one? I don't know. No, I got the color. Sorry.
It's e-ink, though. Apparently.
It's e-ink, so it's
What
not a
is that?
tablet. It's e-ink. It's like a Kindle, but it has some color. I'm sure the color's somewhat washed out. It also has, you can take notes on it.
What is the benefit of e-ink over?
Very low power. This has weeks worth of power.
Yeah.
And it's easier on the eyes because it doesn't
easier to
flicker.
read.
There's no refresh. It's just static. And because you can write on this one, I think this might be kind of interesting. Anyway, I do read books on e-ink. In fact, my latest book, I'm kind of embarrassed to admit it, I just bought, is all about professional automated trading. Because I've decided there's no money in podcasting.
That's the.
You got to be a day trader.
Maybe there's money in day trading. I don't know. I'm just thinking.
While we're mentioning books, I saw this book in the bookstore. I haven't bought yet, but I'm going to buy it. Is Adam Moss, who's a brilliant magazine editor, speaking of magazines, former editor of New York Magazine, founder of 7 Days, has a new book out called The Work of Art, which looks just phenomenal. It is him talking to artists about how they create the art of all kinds of definitions.
Huh.
It's a big $45 book.
Ooh, it's beautiful.
It just looked wonderful.
You know what I got for Lisa for her birthday last year was Dave Rubin's book on creativity that was quite good.
Oh, yeah.
But this might be good for this year.
Yeah, look how classy we are.
We're classy.
Talking about books.
We're classy. I love books. In fact, I tell my daughter, who unfortunately, she's a little older than you, Paris. She's
That is unfortunate.
she's of a generation where they just read online. I mean, she doesn't read books anymore. She just
I like reading
reads
books.
the internet. Yeah, I know, because you were raised properly. I went wrong.
It's true. Unlike some people
Yeah.
out here.
I say,
parents.
Abby, you got to read literature. We got to read books, not the internet. The internet, in fact, by the way, does this seem the case to you? It is now overwhelmingly link bait. No one can publish anything on the internet without saying you won't believe what happened next or something like that. It's very depressing to me. And I have to, unfortunately, I have to read a lot of news, right? And I just see all this stuff, and it's like every single article.
Yeah, and everybody complained about, news is being hurt. No, we ruined it. We absolutely ruined news.
Yeah.
It's a mess.
Yeah, I guess, I mean, it was a race to the bottom to get clicks and links, and that's why you get link bait. But, I mean, you could also say that they're doing it because they need the revenue, and the revenue's not there. I don't know. I don't know what happened, but it's...
Well, it's one of the ironies. Eli Pariser, who complained about the filter bubble, tried to solve it by creating, what was the company he created?
Was it Post.News? Because they just went out of business.
No, that's another
Artifact?
story. No, this is some years ago. It was the one that said, and you won't believe what happened next. They invented that.
No, Outbrain or
Taboola.
No, those are bad companies. This was an attempt to do a good company.
Of the same idea.
Well, he started the idea. Oh, damn. Oh, boy, did he get killed
Has
out of his
anyone ever
profile?
made the joke? Do Taboola? Because I think that we should make that joke. Taboola.
Upworthy is what you're trying to remember.
Upworthy. Thank you.
Sorry,
very much.
I was vamping until we figured out the name. I think that was really good.
Yeah, so Upworthy was started with the best of intentions to drive people to good news, but it started and proved the success of the horrible clickbait headline, and you won't believe what happened next. Best of intentions. Anyway.
Sigh. Ladies and gentlemen, we have come to the end of this mightily depressing show. You know, the good news is podcast is on a roll. Oh, no, that's not true. Yeah.
The good news is TWiT is doing well financially.
Yeah, we're surviving. That's not true either. So never mind. Forget I said anything. I'm going to just go out and buy a bunch of small hats and put them on some pigeons and live my best life. No, I think that honestly, where I'm bullish about all this is I think that we can succeed. It might be at a much smaller scale, but as a niche product that serves an important role. Yeah, well, who was, remember the, was it a Mendocino newspaper, that small town newspaper that got all those awards? Do you know what I'm talking about, Jeff?
Oh, yeah.
You know.
Yes, I know exactly what you mean, yeah.
Not because he had a big audience or anything, but because he stuck to his guns and produced great journalism even for a small audience, and it lived. Oh, no.
Yeah, because what the book stories we just talked about says, what media says, we have this myth that to be successful, you had to be millions and huge. And that was never, ever really the case. There were blockbusters, there were exceptions.
Yeah.
And big enough is what we should be concentrating on.
The money people don't like hearing that, though, Jeff.
Yeah, that's the problem, is the money people is the problem.
Yep.
Why can't I remember? I hate being old. That paper, it was up the coast in California, wasn't it? He won a, did he win a Pulitzer?
Pulitzer, yes. The, was it the Marin County?
No. It was up in
Point Reyes, Point Reyes Light.
Was it the Point Reyes Light?
David Mitchell of Point Reyes Light?
Okay.
Yes, it was David Mitchell.
This goes to Retcon 5 in the chat.
Because he lives out
who
there.
Says
he knows.
They went to a memorial. They went to that memorial, and that's why they missed the party.
Really?
Mm-hmm.
Oh, wow. David Mitchell passed away last year at the age of 79, so it was a very late wake, but okay. Maybe. You know, he was the guy who exposed Synanon, the cult.
Yeah, he was terribly well respected.
And that's the thing. I mean, this is a tiny, tiny town newspaper, but you could still, and that's what I want to be. Just a small niche publication with a dedicated community that supports us, where we really tell the stories that need to be told. I think that's not a bad thing. You read the eulogy.
Yeah, I think it's a great
Retcon
thing.
5 read the eulogy. The memorial was held until the rain stopped, which of course they just had. Retcon 5 worked there as a copy editor when he was a teenager.
Oh, wow, Retcon.
Nice.
Wow.
Well, wow. That's a good reason to miss our event, but you know, Retcon, you can come and visit anytime. You're more than welcome. We love having you in here.
You got a rain check.
Rain, so to speak. Thank you, everybody, for being here. We do This Week in Google Wednesday afternoon, 2 p.m. Pacific, 5 p.m. Eastern, 2100 UTC. You can watch us live on YouTube if I don't get us kicked off at youtube.com/twit. I did earlier. I apologize. youtube.com/twit. Did you record the show, Benito? Because YouTube will not have the beginning.
I did.
Okay, good. Okay. We can't count on YouTube.
Did you record the show? Is such a funny question to ask 3 hours into the show.
I'm not going to say a word.
Well, by the time we actually started the official show, we were back on.
Were we? Oh, good. Okay.
Yeah.
Let's just put it this way. YouTube has saved our bacon once, more than once, probably. I mentioned this before, but I'll say it again. Many years ago, I used to host Floss Weekly, and we did an interview, and I also edited it at the time, and I accidentally erased the show. So I had to call the guest back and the hosts back and redid the whole show. We did the whole thing again, and then I erased it again.
Was
by
it better
accident.
the second? Oh my God,
Twice.
Leo!
So
did you call him back?
I did, and I sent him a big coffee basket and of food and stuff. And I said, I am so sorry. The good news is the third show was better than the first two.
Yeah, because you practiced it.
Well, we should rehearse.
But so Benito, I've done it, and it's so that's why I always say, did you record the show? Because Leo actually recorded it, but he deleted it. So don't delete it either.
Yeah. Benito, the real crunch time comes now. Don't delete the show.
Don't delete the show.
Twice I've had people interview me, and they've done it on Zoom, and then afterwards they screwed up, and there was no Zoom recording.
Yeah. It's unfortunately very easy to do. We have multiple redundancies so that we haven't lost a show, I don't think, since then.
Hey, let's not say this. Knock on wood, guys.
Knock on little tiny cowboy hats. Paris Martineau writes for The Information, where she is working on a gangbuster story all about RRR. I don't know. We don't know.
Multiple years late.
We don't know what the story is, but it's going to be big. If you have a scoop, she's on Signal, Martineau 01.
That's me.
That's her.
And I will be seeing Jeff in person on Tuesday for his big fancy conference.
Yes.
Wait a minute. Tell me about that. What's that all about?
With the Common Crawl Foundation, AI, the right to learn, and an open internet.
Where can people get tickets?
They can't. It's oversold.
Oh, you tell us now?
You can't be there, yeah.
Will they record it?
I don't know.
Get them to record
I'm
it.
co-convening and I'm moderating, but they're nervous about recording because they want people to talk frankly, but they don't want to spend the money.
They want Chowder House rules.
No, because there's journalists there, so the journalists can do it on the record.
Oh, okay. I like it that you just let me say Chowder House.
Yeah,
rules.
I'll do a little field report afterwards.
Say anything at all.
Yes.
Thank you. Thank you to Jeff Jarvis.
I know what you mean.
I know you know what I mean. Is the director of the Townite Center for Entrepreneurial Journalism, emeritus at the Craig Newmark Graduate School of Journalism at the City University of New York. New York. And thanks to all of you, especially a deep thanks to all our Club TWiT members who make this show possible. We'll see you in the Discord. I'm Leo Laporte. Back Sunday for Ask the Tech Guys. Oh, no, back tomorrow, 2 p.m. Pacific, 5 p.m. Eastern. Club members, join me and Stacy Higginbotham for Stacy's Book Club. We're going to have a lot of fun.
Enter the Bobiverse.
Enter the Bobiverse. It's a really good book. It's so much fun. And it's very easy and light, and you could probably read it between now and then. So if you haven't read it yet, get the book, read it. It's very good on Audible. Recommend the Audible version. And we will talk to you 2 p.m. tomorrow. Thanks, everybody. We'll see you next time on This Week in Google. Hats off. Cats on.